A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to robbery detail. A middle-aged businessman in your city is robbed and beaten senseless. The hold-up men escape. The victim refuses to report the crime. Your job? Investigate. You'll be amazed when you compare Fatima with other long cigarettes.
You'll find they now cost the same. But in Fatima, the difference is quality.
You see, Fatima is the quality king-size cigarette because it contains the finest domestic and Turkish tobaccos superbly blended. And Fatima is extra mild, with a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette.
So compare Fatima yourself. Fatimas now cost the same as other long cigarettes, but your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Ask your dealer for Fatima, the quality king-size cigarette. Best of all long cigarettes. Start enjoying Fatima tomorrow.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, October 8th. It was overcast in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Captain Didion. My name's Friday. It was 11:23 a.m. when we got to 700 South Hill Boulevard, the Butler Accordion Studios.
What do you think?
Well, I don't know. It must be upstairs, I guess, huh?
Oh, yeah, there it is. Main office, second floor.
Yeah.
Who is that, Joe?
What?
That portrait up there on the wall.
Just a minute. Some printing underneath here.
It's a nice painting.
It says Damien, the father of the accordion, Vienna, 1829.
What do you know about that? Must be it down there, huh?
Yeah.
Want to try?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Are you Louis Butler?
Yeah, that's right. Can I help you?
Police officers, Mr. Butler. I'd like to talk to you for a minute.
Is your name Friday?
Yes, sir, that's right. This is my partner, Sergeant Romero.
How do you do?
I'm sorry, Sergeant. I told you on the phone. I just don't want to talk about it.
We'd appreciate it if we could have your cooperation. It's a pretty important matter.
Well, I'm the only one concerned in it as far as I can see. I just as soon forget the whole thing. Besides, I got a pretty busy day ahead of me.
Well, we'd like to straighten you out, Mr. Butler. It concerns a lot more people than just yourself. Now, we're not going to take much of your time. Just a few questions, that's all.
I told you on the phone, Sergeant. I don't want to talk about it. Can't you just forget about the whole thing?
It's only going to take a few minutes, sir.
All right. Come in if you want.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Place is in kind of a mess. Wife's away to mother's. Oh, you can sit down if you want.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you very much.
All right, Pepper. I'll feed you. Just a minute.
It's a nice cat you got there. Siamese?
A little bit, yeah. It's my wife's. Don't care too much for cats myself. All right, Pepper. Now, wait a minute. Get your nose out of there. Here you go, Pepper. That ought to hold you for a while.
Look at that, Joe. Sure goes for that milk, huh?
Yeah, it sure does.
You're going to have to make it fast, Sergeant. I got an appointment for lunch downtown.
All right, sir. I'd just like to have you elaborate on what Dr. Hart told us. Is he your family doctor, by the way?
Yeah, that's right. He had no business calling you in the first place. I told him I didn't want it to get out. What did he tell you?
He said you came to him for treatment night before last, and you told him you had been beaten up and robbed. He treated you for cuts and bruises about the face and head.
No, it was nothing. It didn't amount to anything.
Well, was there actually a robbery, Mr. Butler?
Believe me, Sergeant, it didn't amount to anything. I don't even want to go into it.
How much did the robbery involve? Money, I mean.
I'd rather not say. I don't want any fuss made about it. That's why I didn't report it. Just isn't worth it to me.
We understand the hold-up men took more than $800 from you. Wouldn't you like to get that money back?
I don't want to be nasty about this thing, but I was the one who was held up. Now, if I don't want to press the case, I don't see why anyone else should worry about it. It was my money.
How about the beating that thieves gave you?
It's nothing serious. It's like I told you on the phone. I want to forget about the whole thing.
Well, it must have involved more than just a few scratches from the looks of you, and the doctor had to treat you.
Take my word for it, please. I'm all right. I don't want to press charges.
Appreciate it if you'd give us some kind of an explanation, Mr. Butler.
Why? I don't want to bother, that's all. There's nothing to explain.
Well, you have to admit that this is a little unusual. Somebody beats you up, slugs you, takes $800 from you, and you don't want to do anything about it?
You're going to have to excuse me a minute. I have one of my accordion students down the hall in the practice room. Almost time for him to go. I have to give him his lesson for next week.
All right, sir, go right ahead.
It'll only be a minute.
How about that?
Yeah.
Acts like he's scared to death.
Well, whoever it was, they gave him a going over. Half of his head in bandages, face all swollen.
Sure something phony.
Well, he's not going to be much help unless we can talk him into a crime report. Huh?
Somebody's got to him. I'll bet on it. Oh, hi there, Kitty. Hi, Kitty.
I've been thinking it over, officers. I'm sorry you had to come out here, go to all this trouble, but I just as soon forget the whole thing. I don't even want to talk about it if you don't mind.
We don't mean to high pressure you, Butler, but we'd like some kind of an explanation.
Well, can't you understand? I just don't want to make a big fuss about it. I'd like to have you go along with my feelings in the matter. It's my affair, isn't it?
No, sir, it's ours, too. Half a dozen people like yourself have been beaten up and robbed in this neighborhood, all in the last 5 weeks. Now, if we can find the thieves, we can put a stop to it. We can make sure the same thing doesn't happen to your neighbors.
Well, they're going to have to look out for themselves. I'm not getting tied up in a big investigation. The neighbors don't worry about me.
Pretty goes a little further than that.
What?
You've been beaten up and robbed once. How do you know it isn't going to happen again?
Well, it's not, that's all. I'll make sure it doesn't.
How? What's going to stop the same thieves from knocking you over again?
Look, if it's all the same to you, I want to forget about this. I'm going to have to be running along. It's getting late.
No, there's just one more thing, Butler. When the doctor was treating you the other night, this Dr. Hart, he says you told him that you knew who the hold-up men were now. Is that right?
No, he got it all mixed up. I didn't mean it that way.
How did you mean it?
I'm in a funny position. I just can't explain, that's all. I can't take the chance.
Did the hold-up men threaten you?
I can't talk about it. Give me a break, please.
You're making a mistake, mister. Play ball with those thieves and they'll ruin you.
It's not only me, it's my family, too. I'm not going to take the chance.
If they threatened you and your family, you're taking more of a chance keeping quiet about it. They'll bleed you white. Blackmail, robbery, anything you can think of. Now, this has happened before.
Can't you see the spot I'm in? I know who they are. I know what they can do. I got a wife to think about. Would you put your family in that position?
You're buying protection from a couple of hoods. Now, figure it out. How much is it worth? How far can you trust them?
If you pick them up, they'll know I told you. I don't want anything to happen. Can't you see that I haven't any choice? What else can I do?
Help us put the thieves where they belong. You'll have all the protection you need till they're locked up.
It's a big order. I don't know.
You and your wife will be under 24-hour guard. Now, that's a promise.
How long would that have to go on?
Long enough to bring them to trial and convict them? Now, how about it?
They warned me about telling the police. They said they'd get both of us if I did, me and my wife. Now, they meant it, too. They'd get us. What can you do about it?
Get them first. After another hour of talking, we finally persuaded the robbery victim, Louis Butler, to come downtown with us. He dictated a full statement about the holdup and filed a crime report. He told us he'd been robbed and slugged late at night a few blocks from his music studio. $820 had been taken from him by two bandits, both of whom were armed, both of whom he recognized. He said one of the men was a Marvin Carter, a former bartender at a neighborhood tavern. The other was Ralph Quincy, a merchant seaman. We went across the street and met with Deputy District Attorney Fred Henderson. The next day, the case was presented to the grand jury and a true bill was returned. The two suspects, Marvin Carter and Ralph Quincy, were indicted on one count of armed robbery. That afternoon, both of them were booked at the main jail and then released after posting a required bail of $10,000. 4:30 p.m. Ben and I went back to the office and met with Captain Didion.
How are you making out on it?
Pretty fair shape, Skipper. The arraignment's set for 2 weeks from Thursday.
How about protection for the victim?
Well, it's all set up. Butler and his wife are under 24-hour guard. 3 teams of men on it.
There's 2 thieves getting out on bail. It's not going to make it any easier. Who are you working with from the DA's office?
Henderson. Seems to think we've got enough to convict both men.
What makes him so sure?
Well, for one thing, we got a line on a couple of good witnesses to the holdup.
Excuse me. Robbery, Didion. Yeah, Mike. No, I'll check it before I leave. Right. What was that about witness?
A man by the name of Bartlett runs a drugstore. He and his son were in the neighborhood when Louis Butler was held up. They're supposed to have spotted the 2 thieves running from the scene.
Have you talked to him yet?
Just over the phone. We've got an appointment with him at 6 o'clock tonight to take your statement.
I guess I don't have to tell you. Stay as close to this thing as you can. If we miss this time, we may not get another chance. You know as well as anyone how tough it's been reaching these thieves.
Yeah. Well, we wouldn't be this far along if Butler didn't decide to cooperate and file charges.
I wish I knew how many victims there are in this thing just like Butler. People we don't even know about, so scared they don't dare file charges.
Guess there's a dozen of them anyway.
I can't figure. People hire a police force on salary to protect them and their property, then they turn around and try to make a deal with a bunch of hoods, buy them off. How far have you gotten on the hold-up gang?
Well, how do you mean?
The 2 men you've got tabbed, Carter and Quincy. Anyone else working with them?
Possible, not sure yet. Both Carter and Quincy have juvenile records. That's about it. We're still checking on them.
Robbery, Didion? Yeah, Tom. That's right. No, I'll tell them they're here with me now. Right, thank you. It started already.
How's that?
The victim, Louis Butler, he got a phone call at his house a few minutes ago.
Yeah?
Figured it was one of the hold-up gang. They gave Butler a choice.
What'd he say?
Either he drops the charges or they'll kill him.
5:30 p.m. Captain Didion issued orders that the 2 suspects in the case, Marvin Carter and Ralph Quincy, be placed under 24-hour surveillance. An additional team of men was assigned to guard Louis Butler. Each officer was carefully instructed to take all possible precautions to prevent the robbery victim and his wife from being harmed in any way. 6 p.m. Ben and I met with the 2 witnesses to the holdup. A drugstore proprietor, Sam Bartlett, and his teenage son, Harold. They told us that they'd been in the immediate vicinity the night Butler was robbed, and that they'd gotten a good look at the 2 gunmen as they ran from the scene of the holdup. Bartlett and his son, Harold, identified the suspects as Marvin Carter and Ralph Quincy. Statements were taken, and both witnesses were warned to maintain absolute secrecy about their part in the case. Next day, we made arrangements to have the druggist and his son subpoenaed for the Superior Court arraignment. 6 days went by. Thursday, October 17th, 8 a.m. We checked in the office and found the message waiting for us.
What is it, Joe?
The druggist's son, Harold Bartlett.
What about him?
Found him in an alley, 3 o'clock this morning.
What?
Yeah, slugged and beaten. Late that afternoon, Ben and I received permission from the doctors to visit briefly with our witness, 17-year-old Harold Bartlett. His injuries were painful but not critical. The beating he'd received was nothing less than brutal. His left forearm had been broken, and he'd been beaten viciously about the face and chest. He told us that he was on his way home from a neighborhood movie just before midnight when 2 men jumped him from behind on a deserted street.
Well, I drove around some, maybe 5 or 10 minutes. There must have been at least 3 men in the car.
Why do you say that?
Well, there were 2 in the back seat with me. Somebody else had to be doing the driving.
And it had to be a sedan or a club coupe.
I guess so, yeah. After we drove around a while, they stopped the car and then they began slugging me. Didn't say a word the whole time, just started slugging me. I asked them why. They just kept slugging me.
I see.
At first, I think they were hitting me with their fists. And it felt like something a lot harder. A piece of iron or metal or something. That's when I grabbed the cloth off of my face and I started to holler.
What happened then?
Oh, yes, nobody heard me. Nobody came anyway. One of the men swore at me and grabbed my arm. Hit it with something. Sure sore.
They didn't say anything to you all this time?
No, not till just before they pushed me out of the car. It seemed like I was at that car for hours.
When they started to talk to you, Harry, what'd they say?
It was about that robbery my father and me saw. The one you talked to us about last week.
What'd they say about it?
I said, maybe this will help you keep your mouth shut. Stay out of other people's business. They said that a couple of times. They said a lot more had happened to Dad and me if we went to the police. If we were witnesses at that trial.
You remember if the men called each other by name?
No, I don't. I don't remember anyway.
Well, son, you remember when we talked to you and your father last week, we told you to say nothing about the case to anyone, didn't we?
I remember, Sergeant. This is my fault.
Well, did you tell other people that you were a witness in the case? Did you mention it in public?
I guess I did, yeah. I didn't think it was that important. Guess I talked about it quite a bit. I'm sorry. It's my fault.
That's all right, Harry. If you remember it from now on, it'll save a lot more trouble.
I remember, Sergeant. Those two men last night scared me for a while. Guess most of it was talk, huh?
How do you mean, sir?
Well, they were warning me about staying away from the cops. They said they'd kill me and my dad if we were witnesses.
Mm-hmm.
They were probably just trying to scare us, huh? They were fooling?
Well, you had a sample last night, son.
Yeah?
Were they fooling? After we left Harry Bartlett, we went back to the office and arranged for a 24-hour guard to be assigned to the teenage boy and his father. A thorough investigation of the attack on the boy failed to turn up any leads. On the surface, the two robbery suspects, Carter and Quincy, were not involved. During the week that followed, we heard of no further threats or attacks, either on the victim, Louis Butler, or the witnesses involved in the case. Ben and I worked with Deputy District Attorney Henderson, preparing the case against the two suspects. 2 days before the trial opened in Superior Court, we got an urgent call.
Yeah, I know, but how did it happen? Yeah. You're all right, Tom, thanks.
Well, what's the trouble?
Couldn't be worse. No victim.
What do you mean?
Mr. and Mrs. Butler have disappeared.
You are listening to Dragnet. From beginning to end, Dragnet is the authentic story of your police force in action.
Now, from beginning to end, the Fatima story. Actual convincing proof that in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos. The finest domestic and Turkish varieties, extra mild and superbly blended to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy. Manufactured in the newest and most modern of all cigarette factories.
Quality even to the appearance of the bright, clean, gold and yellow package, carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
Because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, more long cigarette smokers are now insisting on Fatima than ever before.
So if you smoke a long cigarette, compare Fatima. You'll find they now cost the same, but your first puff will tell you,
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Insist on Fatima. Start enjoying the quality king-size cigarette. Fatima. Best of all long cigarettes.
Tuesday, November 5th, 9 a.m. The trial of robbery suspects Marvin Carter and Ralph Quincy opened in Superior Court, Department 88. The complaining witness, Louis Butler, failed to appear. For 2 solid days, we'd been busy checking all of the Butler's friends and relatives in the city. They couldn't help. Each time the Butlers had left their residence, they'd been under surveillance. We'd had an understanding with them that in the event that they were in their automobile, and for some reason the officers assigned to them lost them in traffic, the Butlers would immediately return to their home. On the night of November 3rd, under the pretext of going to a neighborhood theater, the Butlers made a right-hand turn from a left-hand lane of traffic, so it became obvious that they were trying to elude the officers following them. A check was made at their home as prearranged, and they failed to return. When they failed to appear for the trial, a bench warrant was issued by Superior Court for the missing couple. Deputy District Attorney Henderson asked the court to grant a delay in order to find the Butlers. It was granted. In the meantime, we'd gotten out a broadcast and an APB. Missing persons detail helped out in the search. Still no sign. Tuesday, November 12th, 11 a.m. Deputy D.A. Henderson phoned us from the Hall of Justice.
When was that, Fred? Yeah, right. Yeah, well, thanks a lot.
What do you have to say?
The attorney for Carter and Quincy asked the court for dismissal, no complaining witness.
Will the judge rule on it yet?
Yeah. Case dismissed.
No matter how guilty the two men might have seemed, there was nothing further anyone could do. Without a complaining witness, our case was finished. The two suspects, Carter and Quincy, were released from custody. In a few days, Quincy left town for the east. Carter remained in the city. The search for Mr. and Mrs. Butler went on. No sign of either one of them. December came, and then the Christmas holidays, New Year's. On January 16th, Louis Butler suddenly reappeared back in town and surrendered on the bench warrant. They explained to the judge that because of the numerous threats on their lives just before the trial, they were afraid to appear, and that they left the state without telling anyone. The judge gave them a lecture and a warning and dismissed charges. Another month passed, February and then March. On April 2nd, we got word from Denver, Colorado, that one of our former robbery suspects, Ralph Quincy, had shot and killed a 24-year-old policeman while attempting a robbery in that city. Quincy was tried and convicted of murder and received a life term. In the meantime, we'd heard little or nothing about the other former robbery suspect, Marvin Carter. Another 2 months passed. Spring months wore on into summer. Monday, July 8th, 8 a.m.
Friday, Romero, see you a minute.
Yeah, Skipper?
You want to sit down? I got something for you.
Yeah.
A hold-up victim, man by the name of Sheridan, came in late last night, filed this crime report here. Have a look.
Let's see, Joe.
You can notice there it happened in the same area where we had that rash of hold-ups last fall.
Yeah, I see. Victim robbed and beaten.
Suspects used the same approach, same M.O., followed it right down the line.
Yeah. Victim warned not to contact police. Bodily harm threatened if victim did so.
How about the descriptions of the hold-up men here? The victim pretty sure about them?
Gaffney handled the report. The victim said he got a good look at one of the thieves. Gaffney gave him a bunch of mug shots to look at.
Yeah.
Here's the one he picked out of the lot.
Oh, thanks. Have a look, Joe. Marvin Carter.
As soon as the robbery report had come in, an immediate check had been made of Marvin Carter's last known address, an apartment in the West Pico district. The landlord revealed that the suspect had moved at least 2 months before. We got out a broadcast and an APB on him. Together with Sergeants Gonzalez and Henry, Ben and I started on a systematic check of all of Carter's known friends, relatives, and associates. After that, we started on the places he was known to frequent: hotels, bars, restaurants. No luck. 2 weeks went by. There were no further reports of robberies where the M.O. of the criminal matched that of Carter's. Tuesday, July 26, 2 p.m. We got a call from one of our informants, Bertie Simmons, who told us that he might have some information for us. He said it concerned Marvin Carter. He told us he'd meet us at MacArthur Park on the 6th Street side at 2:30 p.m. 2:50 p.m.
You'll have to excuse me, Sergeant. Sorry I'm late. I had to move from that other place. Things haven't been going too good for me.
That's all right, Bertie. What's the matter? No luck with the horses?
Yeah, a lot of luck. It's all bad. If there's a pig in the race, I have to bet on him every time. Getting so I can't even pick him to show anymore. I don't know.
What else is new with you, Bertie? No job yet?
No, I'm still looking. Been down around some of the joints, South Main, Alameda, keeping it near to the ground.
Mm-hmm. Want a smoke?
Yeah, thanks. Don't mind if I do.
There you go. Light for you.
What have you heard, Bertie? Anything that'll help?
That Marvin Carter, you're still looking for him, aren't you?
That's right. Any rumble?
I heard it last night having a beer downtown. I knew you fellows were in a little bind on the thing. I always like to help you when you're in a bind.
Well, what'd you hear, Bert?
Carter's still in town, hiding out. Like I say, I always like to help you out when you need it.
Mm-hmm.
I know what it is to be in a bind. That's when you appreciate help most. I'm kind of in a bind right now. A little short, you know.
A couple of dollars, Bert. That's all I have on me. Will that help you out any?
Saved my life, Sergeant. Tell you the truth, I didn't know where dinner was coming from tonight. No need telling you. I appreciate it.
What was this you heard about Carter?
Still in town. There's a place down by Venice, near the beach.
Mm-hmm.
Carter's been seen there once, twice lately. It's a little seafood joint, beer and clams, down by the beach.
Well, now, is that somebody's story, or is it the real thing, Bert?
The real thing, Sergeant. You know me better than that. No phony leads from me.
Where's Carter supposed to be staying down there, do you know?
Well, I do and I don't, I guess.
What do you mean?
This mooch who told me about Carter last night, he didn't know the address, but he described the place Carter's supposed to be hiding out in. I know the joint he means.
But you don't know the address.
No, but I can point out the place he means. It's a shack right along the speedway down there, down by the beach.
Mm-hmm.
You want to run down there with us now?
Sure, I'll point it out for you. I'm not going near it, though.
Why do you say that?
Don't want to mix with it, that's all. I got the word.
What do you mean?
Carter. Won't be an easy one to take.
How do you know?
He's got a gun.
2:55 p.m. Along with our informant, Bertie Simmons, Ben and I drove down to the beach town of Venice. Bertie pointed out a brown wooden frame cottage where Carter was supposed to be hiding out. While Bertie waited in the car, Ben and I checked it out. There was nobody at home, but there was plenty of evidence inside the cottage that Carter was living there. I went back down the street to where we'd parked our car. I kept an eye on the cottage while Ben got to a phone to call the office.
Pretty down here, huh, Sergeant?
Yeah, it's a nice day.
I don't get out in the air enough. I think that's my trouble. Some of this good ocean air makes you feel like a million.
Yeah.
Did you notice the place where your partner went to phone down the street there?
Yeah, what about it?
You see the sign, beer and clams, right over the door? Beer and clams?
Yeah, mm-hmm.
Best in the city, I know. I've been there. Only great. Good beer for a dime, fresh clams, nothing better. You like clams?
Yeah, they're all right once in a while.
What am I going to do if you two have to wait here all night?
Well, we'll get you back to town, Bert. We'll figure out something for you. Hi, Ben. Did you get a hold of the captain?
Yeah. Marvin Carter was picked up downtown 20 minutes ago.
What?
Yeah, he's driving a rented car. A traffic unit picked him up.
Will they tab him on his description?
Not at first. The reason they noticed him was because he was double parked on a busy street, and they pulled him over and got a better look at him. I did.
Any trouble with him?
None at all. Got him booked at Main Jail.
Say, that's sure too bad, and
What do you mean, Bert?
it's your case, isn't it? How long you fellas been working on it?
Just about a year, huh, Joe?
Yeah, just about.
Coming all this way for nothing. You're ready to make the pinch and somebody else does it for you. Must be kind of disappointing, huh? All that time, all that work?
Well, Carter's in jail. That's the main thing. Well, I guess we better drive back in, huh, Ben?
Yeah.
Say, just a minute, Sergeant. No use coming all this way for nothing. Wonder if you'd do me a favor.
What's that, Bert?
That sign down the street.
What?
The blue and white sign, beer and clam. Wonder if you could drop me off right in front. Beer and clam?
Oh, yeah, Bert, all right.
Sure nice of you. Just like I was saying.
What's that?
No use coming all this way for nothing.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On October 29th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 86, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, let me tell you how to size up king-size cigarettes. First, take a Fatima, and then any other king size. Now, side by side, the two look alike, but they're not, because no other king-size cigarette has Fatima quality. That's right. In Fatima, the difference is quality. Quality that results from a blend of the finest domestic and Turkish tobaccos. Quality that gives you extra mildness, a much better flavor and aroma. Remember, if you haven't tried Fatima yet, take my advice. Buy a pack. Smoke Fatimas and you'll discover what I know. In Fatima, the difference is quality.
Marvin Lawrence Carter was tried and convicted on several counts of first-degree robbery and was sentenced to the state penitentiary where he is now serving his term. First-degree robbery is punishable by imprisonment from 5 years to life.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Lyle Rooks, editor of Radio Television Mirror.
The readers of Radio Television Mirror have chosen Dragnet, the favorite program of its type, for 1950. I am privileged to present the citation to you on behalf of the editors and readers of Radio Television Mirror throughout the nation.
Thank you, Miss Rooks.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, portions transcribed from Los Angeles.
Stay tuned for Counter Spy next over many NBC stations.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to robbery detail. A doctor is severely beaten, robbed, and left in critical condition. Suspicion points to a narcotics addict. Your job? Get him. You'll be amazed when you compare Fatima with other long cigarettes.
You'll find they now cost the same. But in Fatima, the difference is quality.
You see, Fatima is the quality king-size cigarette because it contains the finest domestic and Turkish tobaccos superbly blended. And Fatima is extra mild, with a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette.
So compare Fatima yourself. Fatimas now cost the same as other long cigarettes, but your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Ask your dealer for Fatima, the quality king-size cigarette. Best of all long cigarettes. Start enjoying Fatima tomorrow.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, August 7th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. It was 1:15 p.m. when I got to 4656 Collis Avenue. The front door.
Is that you, Joseph?
Yeah, Ma, it's me.
I didn't expect you so soon.
Well, I'm off for lunch, and Ben and I were in the neighborhood, so...
Oh, well, I'll get the telegram.
Thank you.
I must say I'm glad you could get home. Telegrams always make me nervous. Nobody ever sends a telegram unless it's important here, so...
Thank you. Yes, they do, Ma. Some people send wires to invite you to lunch or to a reception or something like that.
Is that so?
Sure. You've just forgotten, haven't you? I've gotten them before like that.
Oh, it's no way to do, anyhow.
Why not?
People always associate frightening things with telegrams. Well, aren't you going to open it?
Oh, yeah, sure. No, if you were worried, you could open it, Ma. It'd been all right.
Well, you know I never open anything addressed to you, Joseph. Anything important?
It's from Belmont, my old high school.
Oh, yeah.
They want me to come up next week. They're having some sort of assembly up there. Want me to talk to the student body.
Well, that's nice. You going to go?
Yeah, I think I better, don't you? I'll have to clear it through Captain Sheldon, though.
I think it's awfully nice for them to remember you. What are you going to talk on, say?
Yeah, police work, it says here. I'll have to think of something to base it on, though, won't I?
Well, you'll have to memorize it, Joseph. Doesn't look well for a man to stand up on a platform and read a prepared talk.
Yeah, I know. Oh, that's Ben. I gotta go, Ma.
Would you and Ben like some lunch? I can fix you something in about a minute.
No, we haven't got time, dear. I'll see you later.
I don't know why they couldn't have written a letter instead.
What's that, Ma?
I said they could have written you a letter. Besides, it's much cheaper than a telegram.
Yeah, Ma. I'll see you later.
Bye, Joseph.
Bye.
Just got a call, Joe. They want us to call the office.
Oh, well, I might as well do it from the house, huh?
Yeah.
All right, I'll be right back.
Right.
It's just me again, Ma. Came back to use the phone.
You're all right, Joseph.
Hello?
2511, please.
2511? Robbery, Chandler.
This is Friday, Glenn.
Got one
What? I can't hear you, Glenn.
Got one for you.
Wait a minute, I can't hear you. Hey, Ma, would you hold that vacuum for a minute, please? I can't hear. Thank you. I'm sorry, Glenn. What'd you say again?
That's right. That young kid hit again, doctor's office.
Yeah?
It's that same kid, only this time he got a little rough. Victim's at Georgia Street. He's still carrying that gun.
Did he use the gun?
To beat the man with. Victim's a 55-year-old doctor. No reason for it, Joe.
All right, we'll get right on it.
Right, bye.
Yeah, bye. Okay, Ma, I'm all through.
All right, son.
Anything?
Yeah. That young hype hit again. Doctor's office beat him up pretty bad. He's down at Georgia.
Great combination, isn't it, Joe?
What's that?
Arm full of narcotics and a loaded gun.
Monday, August 7th. Since June 27th, Ben and I had been assigned to a case involving a young narcotics thief. For 7 weeks now, he'd been robbing every possible source available to him of narcotics. Since the inception of the investigation, we'd seen this young criminal develop from a small-time sneak thief to a full-fledged armed and vicious thug. The descriptions of the young thief taken from his various victims tallied almost to the letter. Blonde, light complexion, small stature, 5'7" to 5'10", nervous and unusually juvenile in appearance. Everything possible was being done for his quick apprehension. Hundreds of mug shots were screened and shown to victims. No identification. 3:30 p.m. We checked back in at the office. Went to see Sergeant Ed Hall, Narcotics Division.
Chandler said you went over to Georgia Street to see that doctor.
Yeah, that's right, Ed. Short visit. Poor guy.
Pretty bad, huh?
Well, the guy's really a mess. Kid must have worked overtime on him.
And what's his condition?
Still critical when we left. They wouldn't let us stay long. We got a description. It's the same kid.
The doctor's name was Gannon, huh? 55 years old.
Yeah. Pistol whipped him. Knocked out 7 of his teeth, fractured his jaw. Doctor was wearing glasses. They don't know if he'll see out of his right eye anymore.
Well, this puts Junior in the big leagues now.
Yeah, it sure does. We got out a supplementary all points on him. Here's a list of the junk that he got. It's quite a haul here.
Yeah. Morphine quarter grain, 30 vials. 5 vials half grain codeine. Dolphine quarter grain, 6 vials. Yeah, you did all right. Long list here.
We got that from the nurse. She was out to lunch when it happened. It's a small office out there, and the doctor closes up at noon. Nurse goes out to lunch, and he eats in the office. That's when the kid got to him.
He knew when to hit, didn't he?
Yeah.
Well, our boys haven't been able to turn up a thing for you. Nobody seems to know the kid.
Well, the amount of stuff he hauled out of that doctor's office, something ought to show, shouldn't it?
Should, yeah, with a haul like that. You got anything at all to work on?
Yeah, that car that was used on the job. Still got it staked out.
Well, we just picked this up from the report counting.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Car was reported stolen 2 hours after the robbery. It's a little bit of a break, huh?
The report was taken out at the Wilshire station. Mrs. Irving Adams states that her husband had notified her that the car was stolen from him while he was at work today. Said he always parks it out in front on the street.
We haven't checked it out yet, but we figured it was a good place to start, maybe.
Wait a minute. What'd you say that name was?
Irving Adams.
No, let me see that report. Well, this Adams is a user. He's up in county now, waiting trial.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, Walker and I picked him up. I just talked to Adams up in the county jail this morning.
How long's he been in?
Let's see. It was last Tuesday, July 30th.
The car couldn't have been stolen from Adams today if he's been in jail for a week.
Well, there's one guy can figure it out for you. Adams.
4:05 p.m. We went up to the 10th floor of the county jail, the interview room. We talked to Irving Adams for an hour. He said he wanted to cooperate, but he couldn't explain his wife's action in reporting the car stolen from him. He kept repeating that he knew his wife was not involved in anything, that she was innocent of any complicity in the case of the youthful gunman. He could give us no information on anyone fitting the gunman's description. He insisted that the entire matter was a mistake and that his wife could clear everything up if we'd just talk to her. 5:20 p.m. Ben and I drove out to 239 West 92nd Street, the Adams residence. It was a small white bungalow trimmed in red. The front lawn needed cutting and care. There were 4 bottles of soured milk on the front porch, along with several old newspapers. The front blinds were down, and although it was still early, the front porch light was burning. The other homes in the neighborhood appeared to be neat and well kept. The screen door was ajar and supported by one rusty hinge. 5:21 p.m.
Looks like nobody's home.
Well, let's give it a try, huh?
Give me a minute, I'll cover the back.
Right.
Yes?
Police officer, my name's Friday. You're Mrs. Irving Adams?
Yes, that's right.
Well, I'd like to talk to you about your stolen car.
Have you found it?
Yes, we have. Can I come in?
The place is in such a mess. Can't we talk here?
Well, if you don't mind, I'd rather come inside.
All right. Don't look at the house. I've been kind of sick. Haven't felt much like cleaning up.
All right. You alone here, are you?
Right now, my husband's at work.
Mm-hmm. Mind if I go through the house?
You mean search it? You got a warrant?
No, I just want to go to the back door.
What for?
Well, my partner's around back there. This the way to the back door here?
That's right.
This it?
It's locked. Keys in the door.
All right. Hey, Ben?
Yeah, everything all right?
Yeah, fine.
Is he a police officer, too?
Yeah, that's right. Is this all there is to the house here?
What do you mean?
Well, just these 3 rooms here.
Yes, that's all.
And I thought you said you were alone here.
I am.
Well, who's that woman lying down in the other room?
That's Catherine. I didn't want you bothering her. She's been sick, too. She sleeps most of the time. I just forgot about her.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else around?
No, nobody.
No, I mean anybody sick or otherwise. Anyone besides you and this girl in there?
Well, you've been in every room in the house except the bathroom.
Mm-hmm. This it here?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't understand all this. I reported my car stolen, and you come out here and search my house. If I did steal my car, I wouldn't hide it in here.
Yeah. Ben, want to come in?
Yeah.
Could you tell me something?
Yeah.
Why are you here?
Well, I told you we found your car. This is Sergeant Romero.
How do you do?
What's the trouble? Anything wrong?
Who'd you say your car was stolen from?
From me. It was my car.
Is that the way you made the report, Mrs. Adams? It was stolen from you?
I think so, yes.
Ms. Adams, according to the report that you made out this morning, you stated that the car was stolen from your husband. Isn't that right?
Is that what I said?
Yes, ma'am, that's right.
I don't remember. We both used the car so much. I forgot.
Well, now, which is it, you or your husband?
I'm not sure.
You been drinking, have you?
A little bit, just to ease my nerves. I haven't been feeling well.
Well, it's obvious you're not drunk, Mrs. Adams. Why don't you keep your story straight?
Well, officers, I am telling the truth.
Well, your husband's in the county jail. He's been there for a week. The car couldn't have been stolen from him. Now, could it?
I didn't say it was stolen from him.
Is this your signature, Mrs. Adams?
Yes, sir.
This is a copy of the auto theft report that you made at the Wilshire Division.
Yes.
Well, now, is this report a true one or a false one? There's a penalty for making a false report, Ms. Adams. I'm sure you're aware of that.
I only want my car back.
Who was it stolen from?
Whatever it says there, my husband.
Mm-hmm. Now, we just told you that he's in jail. He's still in there. We just talked to him. The car couldn't have been stolen from him. Have you got anything to say to that?
No.
Well, I think we better go downtown where you can sit and straighten yourself out and give us some right answers.
I don't want to go to jail.
Well, that's just where you're going if you don't snap out of it and come up with the truth.
I know who you want. It's Rex Burley, isn't it?
Who's Rex Burley?
A young kid, blonde, small. He told me he was in some kind of trouble with the car. Said if I'd tell the police it was stolen, it'd be all right that way.
Mm-hmm. Do you know where he is now?
No, I don't.
You sure about that?
That's the truth.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Catherine's awful sick.
Mm-hmm.
She always sleep this heavy?
Only when she's sick.
She's really out, isn't she?
Yeah.
Look at her leg.
Yeah. She's a user.
Say, this girl's on narcotics, Ms. Adams. Are you a user?
No, I'm not. I don't know where Catherine gets it.
How about Rex Burley?
He's on it, too. Maybe she gets it from him.
Is there any stuff in the house now?
Not that I know of.
You want to tell us where Rex Burley is?
I don't know. He called here about an hour ago. Catherine talked to him.
Mm-hmm.
Did he tell her where he was?
Yes, he did. She wrote it down on a piece of paper.
Where's that paper?
Under her pillow.
You are listening to Dragnet. From beginning to end, Dragnet is the authentic story of your police force in action.
Now, from beginning to end, the Fatima story. Actual convincing proof that in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos. The finest domestic and Turkish varieties, extra mild and superbly blended to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy. Manufactured in the newest and most modern of all cigarette factories.
Quality, even to the appearance of the bright, clean, golden yellow package. Carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
Because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, more long cigarette smokers are now insisting on Fatima than ever before.
So if you smoke a long cigarette, compare Fatima. You'll find they now cost the same. But your first puff will tell you,
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Insist on Fatima. Start enjoying the quality king-size cigarette. Fatima. Best of all long cigarettes.
Monday, August 7th, 6:30 p.m. The young girl who was identified as Catherine Dorrance was awakened, and she produced Rex Burley's address. She stated that she'd known him for the past year. She had just graduated from high school and gave her age as 18. In talking further with both Iris Adams and Catherine Dorrance, we found that the description of Rex Burley checked out with that given us from the suspect's victims. They both stated that, as far as they knew, it was his true name, that he had no friends or associates known to them. A check with R&I showed no record on the name Rex Burley. At 6:37 p.m., Sergeants Hall and Walker from Narcotics Division arrived and continued the investigation of the two female suspects. A stakeout was placed on the house at 239 West 92nd Street. The address we got from Catherine Dorrance was a hotel on Washington Boulevard. We drove out and checked with the clerk. We asked if he had anyone registered under the name of Rex Burley, and he told us no. We gave him Burley's description, and he said that a young man similar to that had registered and was in room 210. We got a pass key from the clerk. We walked up to the second floor.
This is it.
Lights on under the door.
Yeah. Careful, huh?
Yeah.
Who is it?
Open up. We want to talk to you.
What about?
Is the key in the door?
Yeah, pass key's no good.
All right, come on. Open up. Police officers.
Isn't gonna open.
All right. Let's hit it. Right again. Once more. Yep.
Window's open. Up the fire escape, Joe. Police officers, hold it up.
Watch it. You all right?
Yeah.
All right, come on. Let's go. All right, hold it up there. He doesn't want to stop.
He's over the side, under the roof.
All right, come on. All right, easy.
See him?
No, it's pretty dark. All right, come on. Easy now. All right, easy.
Over there on that side. Can you see him?
No, it's too dark.
Watch that skyline. He's over there in that corner. See him?
Yeah, now he's gone.
Must have ducked back down. Well, he's in that corner.
All right, let's take him. Now keep down. You circle around from that side. I'll go around this way.
Right.
Be careful. Keep down.
Don't you, Eggman, please don't you.
All right, throw that gun out and get your hands in the air. Walk toward the middle of the roof.
All right, here's the gun. I see him, Joe. I got him covered. You all right?
Yeah.
All right, keep those hands up. All right, stand still.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
All right, get your hands behind you. Ben. Let's go, Burley.
I didn't mean to do it. I was wrong. I know I was wrong.
Should have thought about that a long time ago. How old are you, Burley?
20.
You're living pretty high, aren't you?
I had to have this stuff. I needed it. How else could I get it? I didn't have the money to buy it.
You didn't have to get started on it. Come on, let's go.
I didn't want to get started. All of a sudden, I was just on it. I couldn't do anything about it. You don't understand. There was just somebody else to explain it to.
There is, but they won't understand it either. Monday, August 7th, 8:40 p.m. Rex Burley was taken downtown to the robbery division for further interrogation. He told us that he was in his senior year in high school when he got started on narcotics. He kept repeating that he didn't mean to get started. He readily admitted his participation in 6 narcotics robberies. He told us that he got Catherine Dorrance, his 18-year-old girlfriend, started on dope. Gene Bechtel took his statement and a complete report was made. A partial recovery of the stolen narcotics was made from his hotel room. The remainder had been found at Irving Adams' residence on 92nd Street. Both female suspects, Iris Adams and Catherine Dorrance, were filed on for violation of the State Narcotics Act. A show-up was scheduled for August 8th to allow a positive identification from Rex Burley's victims. We received word from Georgia Street that Dr. Gannon's condition was improved. The suspect was transported to the main jail where he was booked. It was 10:38 p.m. when I got to 1456 Collis Avenue, the front door. Yeah, Ma.
Oh, have you had your dinner?
No, I'm not hungry.
We'll have to eat. I'll fix you something.
Oh, I'm kind of tired. I just like to sit down for a minute.
All right. Well, there's the evening paper.
Oh, thank you.
Well, what'd you do to the sleeve of your coat?
Oh, where? Oh, guess I must have ripped it, huh?
Mm-hmm. You slip it off, I'll mend it after I fix you some dinner.
Well, why don't you sit down and work on it now if you want to? I've got something I'd kind of like to go over with you.
All right.
You remember that telegram from Belmont this morning?
Yeah, your old high school.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think I got an idea for a speech, maybe. Just made a few notes here. Mm-hmm. Wrote down some of it. You think you feel like listening to it? See if it's okay?
All right. Did you write the speech today?
Well, just parts of it. I hadn't written it clear out yet. I just got a few notes. I want to see what you thought of it.
All right. Well, let me have your coat, son.
Yeah. There you go. Thank you.
Now, let's hear you talk.
Well, remember, it's not written down yet. It's just kind of hit and miss as I go along. But I think I can get the thought across, and then I'll put it all down on paper.
All right.
Mr. Fisher, that's the principal up there. You know.
Yes.
Mr. Fisher, members of the faculty and students. I'd like to tell you about a young boy who started out in high school and ended up on the roof of a downtown hotel dodging police bullets. I'd like to tell you about his girlfriend, 18 years old and a dope addict. This young fella started out on narcotics in search of a new thrill, something new that he hadn't experienced in his young life. He was still in high school when a group of the more high-living youngsters used to congregate at the local malt shop. Well, that's not so good, is it?
No.
Well, maybe it sounds better this way. There was a malt shop on the corner where some of the youngsters used to get together after school. Kind of a place where if you had the right connections, and our young boy and girl did, you could get a drink of liquor in the back room. Well, the high school faculty knows all about this local malt shop, and they inform the authorities, and pressure is brought to bear. But the man who operates the place is clever, if you can call the operations of a man like this clever. He knows how to cover up, how to keep the front room legitimate and the back room a spawning place for juvenile delinquency. And the students don't help much. There seems to be something during the formation of a juvenile mind that when his teachers or his parents catch him doing wrong or they try to tell him it's bad, He prides himself in seeing how long he can get away with it undercover. Seems to be the stylish thing to do to outwit your parents and teachers. As the youngsters grow older, they invariably find out how infantile and stupid this is, but sometimes it's too late. Does that sound kind of stuffy, Ma? What do you think?
Sounds like the truth. Let me hear the rest of it.
Well, you know how kids are. Sometimes they resent it if they think you're lecturing them. Maybe if they could have been with Ben and I tonight, it might make a difference. Well, I don't want to make this too long, Ma. I think maybe I ought to finish up something like this. From this malt shop on the corner in that back room, our young boy gets a good shove down the road of self-degradation. He has the right connections, and it isn't too long before he graduates the liquor in the back room for something he thinks it's far better, narcotics. He's heard that, unlike liquor, you can't smell it on his breath. And he's a real veteran now. He has hangovers. He's heard that narcotics doesn't leave you with a hangover. So it doesn't take too long before, in police parlance, he's hooked. Living in this day and age, he thought that they taught him well in his economics and civics classes. He thought he knew what post-war inflation was all about. He didn't have the vaguest notion of the cost of his daily supply of narcotics once he was hooked on it. He found that before long he had to have his daily dosage. In no time at all, he found that it was all he could do to get by on $30 a day. That's what it cost, Ma. $30 each and every day, or he became violently ill, so sick that he couldn't seem to function properly. Well, in order to maintain his daily needs, he got a gun, and he robbed, and he beat people, and he stole. He shared with his girlfriend, and he dragged her down with him. He ended up on the roof of a hotel trying to shoot his way out. Well, the boy was 20 years old. His girlfriend was 18. 2 years ago, they both sat out there in a high school auditorium during an assembly. He went a long way, didn't he, in his 2 years out of high school? He was taken into custody on the night of August 7th. He was crying when we put the handcuffs on him. He was crying when we left him in his cell at the county jail. I guess he's still crying. Now, what do you think, Ma? That's just rough. I haven't...
Oh, will they believe it? You think it'll do any good?
Well, I don't know, Ma. It's up to them.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On November 9th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 83, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, there are many cases on record of two people, not related, looking so much alike it's hard to tell them apart. A quick check of fingerprints, however, easily proves who's who. Now, at first sight, you could just as easily be fooled by king-size cigarettes. If you were to place a Fatima and any other king-size cigarette side by side, you'd find they look identical. But believe me, there's a real difference. In Fatima, that difference is quality. Quality that gives you extra mildness, a much better flavor and aroma. Compare Fatima with any king-size cigarette. The size is the same, now the price is the same. But in Fatima, the difference is quality. Buy a pack tomorrow.
Rex Martin Burley was found guilty of 3 counts of robbery in the first degree and was sentenced to the state penitentiary where he is now serving his term. First-degree robbery is punishable by imprisonment from 5 years to life.
The Federal Civil Defense Administration will send you an air raid instruction sheet. If you will write the Superintendent of Documents, Washington, D.C., enclosing 5 cents in coin or stamps.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, portions transcribed from Los Angeles.
Stay tuned for Counter Spy, next over many NBC stations.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to auto theft detail. A well-organized ring of car thieves begins operations in your city. It's one of the most puzzling cases you've ever encountered. Your job? Break it. You'll be amazed when you compare Fatima with other long cigarettes.
You'll find they now cost the same. But in Fatima, the difference is quality.
You see, Fatima is the quality king-size cigarette because it contains the finest domestic and Turkish tobaccos superbly blended. And Fatima is extra mild, with a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette.
So compare Fatima yourself. Fatimas now cost the same as other long cigarettes, but your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Ask your dealer for Fatima, the quality king-size cigarette. Best of all long cigarettes. Start enjoying Fatima tomorrow.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, May 11th. It was fair in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of auto theft detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Captain Stilson. My name's Friday. It was 8:35 a.m. when I got to room 40, Auto Theft Division. Captain's office.
Morning, Friday.
Morning.
Hi, Joe.
Ben?
Want to sit down?
Thank you.
I was just telling Romero here. I'm briefing all the men in the bureau on this thing. That's the reason I called you two in.
Yeah?
I got some figures here I want to go over with you.
All right.
As you know, the percentage of all auto theft recoveries is 96 to 98% on the average. That's normally.
Yeah.
In checking the monthly averages the past 4 months, that percentage has dropped to the low 80s.
Quite a drop.
Corner Pocket thinks so, too. They want some action on it.
Well, we've been working on it.
There's absolutely no pattern to the thefts. Time, location, the method. Makes it impossible to stake out on it.
Yeah, those are some of the reasons our percentage is taking such a dive. I know the problems. We all do, but we got to break this thing soon.
Well, it figures we're dealing with a well-organized bunch. They know what they're doing.
In cross-checking all the reports, it seems to boil down to this in general. It appears that all the outstanding thefts are GM cars. Cads, Pontiacs, Chevys, Oldsmobiles. All late models, all seem to be in good condition, low-mileage cars.
Well, in addition to the regular broadcasts and teletypes, we got out a special bulletin on this, didn't we?
That's right. All the thefts were listed, license, make, model, and color. Been sent to all major cities and border patrol stations. Nothing so far.
I was checking through the salvage reports. Salvage buy. Do you have the last 2 months' escape for March and April?
Yeah, right here. I noticed the same thing. That outfit down on San Pedro Street.
Yeah. Let me see. Oh, yeah. This is a composite on the report for the past 2 months.
That's right.
This one here. Herman Salvage, 2716 West San Pedro. They seem to deal a little heavy on General Motors cars, don't they?
Yeah, they do. I've been watching the buys on this place for the past few weeks now. I wanted to make sure it wasn't coincidence.
Well, looks like a good place to run down anyway.
You two want to check it out?
All right, fine. 2716 West San Pedro.
That's it. Outfit appears to be okay. Never been out of line.
Seems funny they should deal with the top heavy in GM cars, doesn't it?
Right when our recovery percentage takes a dive, yeah.
Do you have the last salvage report there, Captain?
Yeah.
The last one?
Here you are.
Thank you. Yeah. Here's one for Herman's, 1949 Cadillac. A little further down, Herman's again, 47 Olds. Yeah. There's 5 GM buys on the list. Herman got 4 out of 5 of them.
Let's find out why.
From the time an automobile is first manufactured and sold, a constant and complete record is maintained on that automobile. His certificate of ownership, the pink slip in the state of California. His certificate of registration, the white slip. These 2 slips of paper contain the information necessary for the positive identification of your car. A fact that every motorist knows. Now, there are many agencies that work for the protection and security of your automobile. One of these is the National Auto Theft Bureau, a kind of nationwide clearinghouse. Acting upon information supplied by the various insurance companies and other allied agencies, this bureau forwards all facts and figures concerning the disposition of motor vehicles on a nationwide basis. Reports are made available to all law enforcement agencies. One of the pieces of information put out by the National Auto Theft Bureau is the salvage report, listing all sales and purchases of automobiles that, for one reason or another, may have been relegated to the junkyard or to the salvage company, a fact that many motorists may not know. 9:14 a.m., Ben and I checked through the police commission and found that the owner of Herman Salvage was a Herman Lester. He had been in business at the same location for 6 years and appeared to be a reputable businessman. We drove down to 2716 West San Pedro to check it out. It was an average-looking garage with a connecting salvage yard filled with several hundred smashed-up cars of all makes and models. It was 9:32 a.m. when we walked into the garage.
There's a fellow there in a white shirt.
Yeah, I see him.
Can I help you, gentlemen? Yes, sir. Police officers. Auto theft detail?
Oh, yes. Don't believe I know you fellas. My name's Lester.
This is Sergeant Friday. My name's Romero.
How you do?
How are you? Are you the owner here?
Yeah, that's right. Hey, whatever happened to Mac and Donovan? Used to drop in once, twice a month. I haven't seen them for 2-3 weeks now.
Well, they're a little busy on a special assignment.
Oh, I see.
All right, if we look around here?
Oh, you bet. Make yourselves right at home. Anything special?
No, just looking.
Okay.
Notice you've been pretty busy, huh?
Yeah, had a pretty good month. Salvage racket's going to get sour again, looks like, with the Korean War and all the cutbacks.
Doesn't seem to have hit you so far.
Well, no, not so far. Looks like it may tighten up any time.
I noticed from our salvage report you've been doing a big business in GM merchandise.
Yeah, we have. You know, they're starting to build tanks back there now. We wanted to make sure we wouldn't run short on parts.
You get a lot of call for GM parts, do you?
Oh, yeah, we sure do. Everybody in town knows if they need something for a Caddy or a Buick or any of those cars, this is the place to come. We kind of built up a reputation specializing in GM used parts.
I see.
Mind if we check your last few by?
Fine.
You have 49 Cadillac, 47 Olds, Pontiac 48, 1949 Chevrolet. Wonder if we might see those.
Yes, sir. Right out in the yard. Back this way. All four of them are really bent up. Bad shape. Just breaks your heart to see beautiful merchandise like that all smashed up. I don't know what people are thinking of the way they drive.
Yeah.
And you take a new Caddy, one of those new convertibles, really beautiful merchandise. Somebody takes one out, rolls it, we pick it up and tow it down here. Beautiful car like that all rolled up in a ball.
Georgia Street Receiving Hospital probably picked up the rear.
Yeah, it was really a shame. Well, here we go. There's a Caddy.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. The Olds and the Pontiac are in that row there. You see them?
Yeah.
And that Chevrolet, wasn't it?
Yes, sir. 1949.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There she is over there. Third car down. Maroon. See it?
Maroon one, yeah. Down there.
Yeah. Looks like a graveyard, doesn't it?
Sure does. What do you do with all these cars? Strip them down for parts?
Well, at least the four you're checking now, yeah. They're all total wrecks. Nothing much can be done with them except for parts.
How about that Cadillac down there, the sedan?
Huh?
That one over there, can't you fix that one up? That doesn't look beyond repair from here.
Oh, step around the other side here. You can't see from where you're standing. Here. Yeah, the right side's all stove in. By the time you figure replacing those side panels and fenders, trim, we couldn't come out on it.
Yeah, I see now. Well, I don't know too much about it, but it looked good from over there.
Yeah, that's what we get all the time. People want us to pay top prices for stuff we can't get our money out of. If we could repair them, fix them up, and resell them as a complete automobile, there'd be a lot of money in this business.
You do that with some of them, don't you?
Well, very few of them, I'll tell you. That's what we look for, but we don't always get lucky.
I see.
Say, how'd you boys like to see some really beautiful merchandise?
What's that?
Well, come on back in the shop.
All right.
It's kind of a hobby of mine. Here's what keeps us busy. Plates and pink slips on their way up to Sacramento for cancellation. Yeah, over this way. Here we are. Take a look at this baby.
Yeah. Hot rod, huh?
No, not exactly. We don't go in for that kid stuff racing around town.
Well, sure, looks like one.
Yeah, but it's a little better than most of the kids can throw together.
What'll it do?
We clocked her up at Muroc at 112 last weekend. You know, they've been coming in here from all over town to see this car.
That's so.
Yeah. You ever get up to Muroc Dry Lake?
No, I never do, but that's the place for it. Running around town and those things can cause a lot of accidents.
Those drag races the kids have? Yeah. We don't go in for that stuff. This is strictly scientific as far as I'm concerned. I like to build them up, see what we can make them do.
Cost a lot of money, don't they?
Got $5,400 in this one right now. I'm putting more into it. Mallory ignition, milled heads, twin Wakefields. Here, let me start it up for you.
Okay.
120 horses under there.
Yeah, sounds good.
Listen to that. Beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
A lot of power here. Sure is. You ought to see it up at the lake. You really go.
Yeah, I'll bet.
This all made up out of salvage cars?
Every bit of it. Buy a few things new, but most of it's right out of wrecks like those outside there.
Takes a lot of talent to build up something like this from scrap, doesn't it?
No, not really. After you've been at it as long as I have, it's not too tough. The trick is to get more speed out of them than anyone else can.
Yeah, you did a good job on this car, huh?
Oh, if you put your mind to it, you can do a lot with a wrecked car.
Before we left Herman's Salvage, we checked all 4 of the GM cars that were listed on the salvage report. We made a careful check on all of the cars in the yard and in the garage, paying special attention to the few cars that were in the process of being rebuilt by Herman Lester's mechanics. We went over his records, carefully checking the disposition of all of his buys for the past several months. Everything was in perfect order. We found that in the past 3 weeks, Lester had taken in 10 cars. 8 of them had been stripped down for parts, and 2 of them had been rebuilt and resold. The investigation showed that 4 of those cars were GM cars, and the 2 that were resold were both General Motors. 11:28 a.m. Ben and I drove back to the office and asked Mac and Donovan if they'd check through the 2 resale cars to make sure everything was in order, as the reports indicated. We checked through on the remaining 8 cars that were listed by Herman Lester as broken down for parts. According to DMV, all plates and pink slips had been returned to them for cancellation. 11:50 a.m.
Well, that's it, Joe.
Yeah?
8 of the cars check out. 2 of those were GM.
Yeah, well, that leaves just the 2 that Mac and Donovan are checking, huh?
I don't know. Everything down there looked all right. It's a cinch Lester wasn't holding back anything, as far as I could tell. It's cooperative. Everything in order.
If those 2 that Mac and Donovan are working on check out.
I got a hunch they will. Seems to me Lester told us everything. Everything we asked him, anyway. I don't think he held back.
If he did, I got an idea he might be able to tell us somebody's been left out in the cold here.
What are you getting at?
Well, now, if Herman's been able to buy up all those GM cars, what have the other salvage dealers been doing about it?
That's a thought.
Let's check his competition. 12:40 p.m. We drove back down to West San Pedro Street. We picked out a group of salvage companies in the immediate neighborhood close to Herman's. 3209 West San Pedro, John's Wrecking Yard. We introduced ourselves and started to talk with the owner, a John Bacon. A routine check was made of his establishment, and as far as we could tell, everything appeared to be okay.
And that's all you made, huh? Just that one buy?
That's it. 1946 Ford. We're dying a slow death.
Business pretty bad, huh?
Never seen it worse. At least as far as we're concerned.
How do you account for that, Mr. Bacon?
Oh, everything, I guess. Business bad all over at the moment. Scrap metal situation's in a state of flux at the present time.
In looking around, Mr. Bacon, we noticed you don't have much in the way of General Motors stuff. Is that because of GM going into war production? Any cutback would eventually affect you fellas, wouldn't it?
No, not at all. Cutback would, sure, but there's no tremendous curtailment right at the present time. They're still turning out a lot of automobiles back there.
Well, then what's your problem?
We're being outbid. Right up and down the line by the same outfit.
Who's that, sir?
A company by the name of Herman's Salvage, just up the street there. Go out to buy a piece of merchandise, their boys just won't let us get near it.
They pay more than you do, huh?
More than we can, Sergeant. I honestly don't see how they're coming out on some of their deals.
It's that much out of line, huh?
Certainly is. You know, whenever there's anything available, all the salvage companies get their bid in. Well, Herman simply outbids all of us.
Yeah, it makes it kind of rough.
I'm not the only one. Pete Larkin up the street, old man Henry next door, all of us. I don't know what we can do about it. Herman seems to be doing all right, no matter what he pays for his cars.
Mm-hmm.
None of us can figure it out. Just judging from the number of cars he outbids us on and the number he rebuilds, I just can't see how he's coming out.
But he is, huh?
Figure he's laying odds on a big shortage. That's what all of us think.
He's laying in a stockpile. Is that the idea?
Sure. What else could it be?
We continued our check on all salvage dealers, both in the neighborhood of Herman Lester's place and throughout the city. It seemed to be a fact well known to most dealers that Herman was outbidding all of them on any and all GM automobiles. The only possible explanation was that he must be trying to lay in a large stockpile of this particular make of car. 3:35 p.m. We received word from Sergeants Mack and Donovan that they had checked out the 2 remaining cars listed in Herman's books, the resales. Ben was right. They checked out with no discrepancy. During the next 10 days, the investigation continued. The theft of late-model GM cars continued, with few recoveries. Suspects were arrested and questioned. We could find no connection that might lead us to an organized ring of car thieves that might be responsible for the lack of GM car recoveries. The salvage report showed no change in Herman's buying technique. Apparently, he was still dealing heavy on the one particular make of car. Thursday, May 25th. We received a teletype from DMV listing all the salvage buy transfers. In making our usual daily check of this teletype, we noticed a 1949 Cadillac, engine number 598-77415. It had been resold from salvage to a used car lot.
That's the place right up the block.
Yeah, I see.
Same cad we saw in Herman's salvage yard.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? The one in particular that I asked him about, you remember?
Yeah, I remember. You thought it could be fixed up. He said no.
It's only been a little over 2 weeks ago, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, it still doesn't prove anything.
Here we are. Jake's. This is the place.
Yeah, there's a cad in the front line right down there, huh?
Mm-hmm. I don't see anyone around, do you?
No, I don't. Well, I guess it's all right to check the engine number anyway.
Yeah, I'll get the hood released.
Right. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, the engine's had a good steam cleaning. Let's see. 598-77415.
That's it. Herman sure did a nice job on it, didn't he?
Yeah. Almost looks too good, doesn't it?
Yeah, just a minute.
Yeah.
Body serial doesn't match. Doesn't correspond with the engine model.
It's a 49 body. Could be a late 49, but it's a definite switch, isn't it?
It sure is. That's funny.
Yeah. Look at this right side here. This was the bad side, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Does it look like it's been rolled out to you?
No, there's no feathering, no orange peel. Either that's the best repaint job I've ever seen or it's never been in an accident.
Yeah. I'll take a look underneath. Huh?
Yeah, all right.
Okay. Want to move your feet there?
Yeah, all right. Anything?
No, nothing. There's not a seam or a joint under there. No welding marks of any kind. This car's never been in a smash-up.
The engine number checks, the body doesn't.
And this is the one Herman couldn't fix up.
That's what he said. Maybe he changed his mind.
Or he lied.
You are listening to Dragnet. From beginning to end, Dragnet is the authentic story of your police force in action.
Now, from beginning to end, the Fatima story. Actual convincing proof that in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos. The finest domestic and Turkish varieties, extra mild and superbly blended to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy. Manufactured in the newest and most modern of all cigarette factories.
Quality, even to the appearance of the bright, clean, golden yellow package. Carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
Because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, more long cigarette smokers are now insisting on Fatima than ever before.
So if you smoke a long cigarette, compare Fatima. You'll find they now cost the same. But your first puff will tell you
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Insist on Fatima. Start enjoying the quality king-size cigarette. Fatima. Best of all long cigarettes.
1949 Cadillac, engine number 598-77415. In checking out this automobile, Ben and I had found that the engine number corresponded with the salvage report concerning Herman Lester's place. The one big item that did not jibe was the fact that the engine was now mounted in a different body than when the car left the factory. A fact that had to be accounted for in complete detail. When we had checked this automobile on the 11th of May at Herman Salvage Yard, both engine and body numbers corresponded. In taking a close look at the car, it was obvious that the body had not been repaired in any way. It was clear that this particular car had not been in any kind of collision. We went back to the rear of the lot and asked one of the salesmen not to sell the car without informing us. When we got back to the office, we started rechecking all of the auto theft reports. We found 5 stolen Cadillacs, but all the body styles and models were different, with the exception of one, a 1949 Cadillac sedan, reported stolen on May 14th. It was registered in the name of William Brownell. We checked his home and found that he was at work. He was a superintendent for the North American van lines. We drove over and picked him up and took him to Jake Hughes' car lot on Vermont Avenue.
This is the car, Mr. Brownell.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's just like mine, but I don't think it's the one.
Are you sure?
For one thing, it's a different color. My car was maroon.
You want to step over here, Mr. Brownell?
Sure.
Now, if you'll look very closely here on the door edging and on the jamb, right here, see? This is the one place sometimes they miss with a spray gun if they're going to repaint.
Oh, yeah, there's a faint trace of red under the blue paint there.
Looks like it could be maroon, doesn't it?
Yeah, does it there?
This car's been repainted. It was maroon.
Well, mine didn't have these kind of seat covers. Let's see. Same kind of upholstery I had, though, underneath here. I don't know.
Mr. Brownell, there must be something other than the color and the upholstery that you'd know your own car by.
Never gave it much thought.
Well, there's usually some little identifying mark of some kind. I know that on my car, the lens on the right headlight got broken, and I had to replace it with one that didn't match.
Something like that, sir?
Let me see. Could I look inside there a minute?
Sure.
Right here under the speedometer, there was a thumbprint pressed in at the factory. It's pretty deep. No, it's not there now.
And don't forget that the car's been repainted. It might have been covered up.
No, this was clear down to the metal. Apparently, when they were installing the instruments at the factory, the panel wasn't dry yet. Not there now, and they couldn't have covered it up unless they made a special point of it.
Well, sometimes that's done. Car thieves are kind of clever.
I'm sorry, gentlemen. I don't think this is my car. Don't think I don't wish it was, but it's not.
Can you think of just one other thing, maybe? Just one mark of identification is all we need.
No. Even these tires aren't mine. I had white sidewalls.
Oh, could have been switched.
They were pretty new. Wait a minute. I think I remember something. No, there's no rip up there.
What's that, sir?
I just thought of something. The boys down at the office gave me a St. Christopher medal. You know, the large metal kind you're supposed to bolt to your dashboard?
Yes, sir.
I didn't want to put it on, so I carried it around with me in the car. There was a rip up there in the inner lining of the top, but you see there's no rip in this.
Let me see.
How about it, Ben?
Yeah, I can feel it.
Does it feel like a metal?
Let me get my pocket knife on it.
Okay.
What do you think? They replaced the cloth up there?
I don't know.
Yeah, here it is.
Is this it, Mr. Brownell?
That's it. Look, on the back there, my name's engraved on it, see?
Yes, sir.
Well, I sure didn't think this was my car. I never would have known it.
That's what the guys figured who stole it. The 1949 Cadillac was taken to the police garage, and a complete and thorough check was made. The car, with the exception of the engine, was positively identified as the property of William Brownell. This definitely implicated Herman Lester and showed his salvage operations to be illegitimate. He had obviously been buying one particular make of salvage automobile, outbidding all his competitors to do so. When he would buy a piece of wrecked equipment, an exact duplicate would be stolen to match it. He would then dispose of the engine from the stolen vehicle and replace it with a salvage engine.
With this system of operation, Herman Salvage had been enjoying a lucrative business, which accounted for a great percentage of the stolen cars that we hadn't been able to recover. 7:25 p.m., May 25th. We drove out to pick up Herman Lesker. His home address was listed as 8625 Wonderland Drive. It was up in the Laurel Canyon district, a heavily wooded section of Los Angeles.
Pretty nice place up in there.
Yeah, but you can see of it through the trees. Well, let's go. Mm-hmm.
Look at that, Joe.
Yeah.
Looks like a 50 O's. Everything there but the engine. No plates.
Mm-hmm. I didn't notice that from the street, did you?
Never could have seen it from down there.
Mm. Looks like a garage back up in there, doesn't it?
Perfect spot. Can't see any of this from the street with all those trees. Pretty fancy layout for a home garage. Good size.
Yeah. Somebody's working up in there.
Yeah.
Come on.
Hi there. Brings you fellas right up here.
We want to have a little talk with you.
Oh, you bet. Come on in the house. Have a cold beer, huh?
No, this will be all right.
Joe, you got a hot sheet?
Yeah. Right here.
Kind of caught me by surprise here, working out in the garage.
Yeah, that figures, Lester. These plates are from a stolen car.
You sure?
That's right.
You remember a 49 Cadillac we looked at down at your place a couple of weeks ago?
Oh, not sure. 49 Cad?
That's right. Whatever became of that car?
Oh, now I remember. Yeah, I sold that car to Jake's over in Vermont.
Thought you told us you couldn't fix it up.
I don't remember. You sure you don't mean some other car now?
No, it's the same one. You know the one we mean. How about it?
How about what?
That was a stolen car, Lester, and you know it. That's a stolen car out there in the yard, isn't it?
What's that hoist then? There he goes, Joe. All right, Lester, hold it. Stop it, Joe. All right, now, come on. Stop it, Lester. Drop the hammer. Go with me.
All right. I'll get the cuffs, Joe.
Come on, get up on your feet.
All right, come on. On your feet.
Stand still.
Rough one, huh?
Yeah.
Come on, Lester. Let's go.
How'd you find out? Who tipped you off?
Say Christopher.
The story you've just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On August 15th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 82, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, one of the first things a detective learns is that you can't rely on snap judgments or first appearances. You get all the evidence first, and then you arrive at a decision. And that's just as true when it comes to choosing a king-size cigarette. Place a Fatima alongside any other king-size cigarette. Now, side by side, they'll look identical. When you smoke them, you'll find a world of difference. You'll find, as I have, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Quality that gives you extra mildness, a much better flavor and aroma. If you haven't smoked Fatimas yet, buy a pack tomorrow and see if you don't agree. In Fatima, the difference is quality.
Herman W. Lester was tried and convicted on 3 counts of grand theft auto and 2 counts of grand theft money, all sentences to run consecutively. Grand theft auto is punishable by imprisonment for a term of 1 to 5 years, grand theft money by a term of 1 to 10 years. The suspect was also filed on by federal authorities for violation of the Dyer Act. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, portions transcribed from Los Angeles.
Stay tuned for Counter Spy, next over many NBC stations.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned the homicide detail. You go to an apartment house and answer to a shooting and dead body call. Her husband tells you it's suicide. The facts show it to be murder. Your job? Find out. You'll be amazed when you compare Fatima with other long cigarettes.
You'll find they now cost the same. But in Fatima, the difference is quality.
You see, Fatima is the quality king-size cigarette because it contains the finest domestic and Turkish tobaccos superbly blended. And Fatima is extra mild, with a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette.
So compare Fatima yourself. Fatimas now cost the same as other long cigarettes, but your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Ask your dealer for Fatima, the quality king-size cigarette. Best of all long cigarettes. Start enjoying Fatima tomorrow.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Sunday, March 9th. It was windy in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. It was 4:35 p.m. when we got to the first floor of the Kelsey Apartment Hotel. Apartment 112.
Hi, Joe. Ben.
Hi, Harry.
How are you?
What have you got here?
The woman's dead, shot through the right temple with a .45 automatic. Husband claims it's suicide.
What's the name?
Mr. and Mrs. Andrew Robertson. Wife's name was Marie. That's Mr. Robertson right over here.
Has the crime lab been called?
About 2 minutes ago. Fine. Mr. Robertson, this is Sergeant Romero, Sergeant Friday.
How do you do? How are you, sir?
Have you questioned Mr. Robertson?
No, not yet.
Mr. Robertson, do you want to tell us what happened here?
I'd just gotten back from the corner grocery store. My wife and I had a little argument going. It started before I left for the store, and it was still on when I got back.
I see.
She was fixing chicken fried steaks for dinner, putting the flour on them. We had a few more words, and I went over and sat on the Davenport right where I am now.
Mm-hmm.
She was standing there in the doorway to the kitchen. She said something that set me off, and I guess I got pretty mad and said a few things. Then she went back over to that little nightstand there by the door to the kitchen.
That one right there?
Yeah, that's it. That's where I keep my Army automatic. She pulled it out of the drawer and backed up into the kitchen. She put the gun to her head and said, "This'll put an end to the argument once and for all." I yelled at her and tried to stop her, but I was too late. She pulled the trigger and fell right there where she is.
What'd you do then?
I went upstairs to Ted Carlton's place. He lives in 212 right above us. We don't have a phone here. I asked him to call the police and send for an ambulance.
Did you go over to see how badly your wife was shot?
Yeah, I forgot to tell you. The minute she fired, I rushed right over to her, but I was too late. She was dead.
Now, did you touch anything in here, move anything at all?
No, sir, not a thing. I've been sitting here ever since I got back down from Ted's room upstairs.
I see.
Joe?
Yeah?
Empty cartridge casing here on the floor.
Yeah. When Jones gets here, we'll measure the distance. Just a minute. We can put this saucer over till the crime lab gets here.
All right.
Riley. All right. Crime lab's here, Friday. Need Jones.
Riley.
Hello, Joe. Ben?
Riley.
Fremont, would you mind taking Mr. Robertson downtown? We'll be right down as soon as we finish up here.
Right, Joe. See you later.
Thanks a lot, Harry.
Let's go. What do we got here?
Shot through the right temple. Husband claims suicide.
Mm-hmm. What's under the saucer?
Empty casing.
Looks like she was flouring meat, huh?
That's what the husband says, yeah.
It's probably what that is in the barrel of the automatic there.
Yeah, we noticed that.
Wastebasket's sure full, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right tempo, huh? 45 automatic.
Yeah.
If she shot herself in the kitchen, how do you figure the empty casing got out there in the living room? Position of the body doesn't warrant that. That'll be Ed McGill, the photographer.
Come in.
Friday?
Yeah. Go in.
All right, Ed.
Well, what do you want to shoot?
Why don't you get an overall of the room first and grab one in the kitchen there?
All right.
Wait till I get that saucer off the casing, Ed. Okay.
All right. Mary, you want to move over there, love?
Oh, yeah.
Thanks. All right. Now, you want the kitchen?
Right from where you are now is good. We can get out of your way here.
Okay, this is fine.
Now, right over the body. Better get that chair to stand up.
Oh, yeah, here you are.
Not much room to work in here.
Can you get it all in there?
Yeah, I think so.
Use the wastebasket as your outside line here and kitchen sink on the other side.
Can't get the sink in. Will you settle for the wastebasket only?
Fine. Just use that as your right-hand sideline, huh?
All right.
Okay. So while you fellas finish up in here, we're going to run upstairs and wait.
Okay, Joe.
Come on, Ben.
Where do you want to go first? 212?
Well, that's this Ted Carlton Robertson mentioned in it.
Yeah, the fellow who's supposed to have called in for him.
All right, yeah. Here it is, right head upstairs.
Yes?
Police officers. You're Mr. Carlton?
Yes, that's right. Come in.
Thank you very much.
This is an awful thing, isn't it?
Yes, sir. We understand that you're a friend of the Robertsons.
Yes, I am. Have you found out anything yet? You think Andy killed her?
We don't know. We haven't completed our investigation.
Oh, I see. I'll bet that's the way it was. I hate to say that, but from all indications, it certainly looks that way.
Mm-hmm. How do you mean?
The argument, the shouting, then that single shot. I don't know, but it sure struck me that Andy did it.
When did the argument start? Was it prolonged, do you know?
What do you mean?
When did it start? What time, do you know?
This one today started about 3:30 when Andy got back from the store, but they've been arguing ever since I've known them.
And how long have you known them?
About 2 years. Those two never should have gotten married to begin with, if I'm any judge.
Are you married?
No, sir, I'm not.
I wonder if you could tell us. Did Mrs. Robertson ever say anything that would lead you to believe that she was in fear of her life?
Well, yes, she did. One time Andy stalked out of the apartment down there, and Marie came up here to see me. She was in tears, all broken up about it, as usual during these spats.
I see.
She said, I'll try to remember exactly how she put it. She said, Andy gets so mad sometimes I think he's going to kill me.
What did they usually argue about, do you know?
Oh, different things. This particular time that I was telling you about, I think it was over his being late for dinner.
Oh, I see.
Now, aside from this one instance, is there anything else that you can tell us?
Well, Andy has a terrible temper, that I know. We used to go out and bowl once in a while, Marie, Andy, and myself. We had to stop. Every time he'd miss a spare, you'd think it was the end of the world.
Would he usually seem to take it out on his wife?
Most of the time, yeah. Although I must say I caught it a few times myself. Abusive language. She really carried on over nothing at all.
Mm-hmm. Did Robertson leave his wife home alone much of the time?
No, not any more than usual. Seems like he always wanted to get home just so they could argue. Everybody in the apartment house knows about him.
But you said that Mrs. Robertson came up here after that one particular argument, is that right?
Yes, sir, that's right.
Well, does she come up here often?
No, not very often. Just when she was unusually upset and her nerves were on edge. But only then when Andy would rush out mad.
Well, do you know whether or not Robertson owns a gun?
Yes, I believe he does. Matter of fact, I know he does. One night we were having trouble with prowlers, and he came up here with his automatic.
I see.
Later on, I think I asked him where he got the gun. He said from the Army.
Was there anything else you can add, Mr. Gordon?
I was the one who called the police. You knew that.
That's what we understand.
Didn't Andy tell you? He came up here right after the shot and asked me to call the police for him. They don't have a phone.
Well, exactly how did he tell you?
What do you mean?
Well, what were his exact words? Can you remember them?
Well, he said, my wife's shot. Call the police and get an ambulance quick.
And what was your reaction to this?
I'd heard the shot, so I wasn't too surprised. But when Andy came running up here, I knew before he said a word. You could tell just to look at him.
You could tell what?
Something was wrong. I had a hunch all along that this might happen someday.
What's that?
That Andy had killed his wife.
Ben and I continued questioning the various neighbors in the apartment building. Their stories all matched in every detail. The Robertsons had been known to argue, quite frequently and quite loud. None of the neighbors could definitely say that they had ever heard Andrew Robertson threaten his wife. All of them volunteered it would be entirely possible. We put in a call to R&I. We found that there was no previous record on Andrew Robertson nor his wife, Marie. Before Lee Jones had finished his investigation, latent fingerprint men had arrived, and the men from the coroner's office were standing by for removal of the body. We canvassed the neighborhood and checked with the various merchants in the area. They could shed no further light on the death of Marie Robertson. The coroner removed the body from apartment 112, and Lee Jones continued with his investigation. Ben and I returned downtown for further interrogation of the suspect.
Everything I've told you is the truth.
Would you mind going over it just once more?
All right. We had our quarrels and arguments, and I guess some of them were pretty bad, but I'd never do a thing like this to Marie.
Well, you don't seem very upset about all this, Robertson.
I'm not crying, if that's what you mean. I'm sorry she had to do it. Tried to stop her, but there was nothing I could do.
Well, you seem to be taking all this pretty well under the circumstances.
I don't know if I can explain how I feel about it. You see, Marie and I weren't too happy the past couple of years. We've been married 8 years, and I guess from the start we never could hit it off.
Did you used to argue quite a bit?
No, not at first we didn't. It just seemed that we've drifted apart the last couple of years. We seemed to fight all the time over nothing at all. I honestly believe we fell out of love.
Well, would you mind telling us again exactly what happened this afternoon?
First of all, I got up. I always like to sleep on Sundays. She asked me to go to the store. That started the argument. She knows I don't like to go shopping, but it seemed like she was always forgetting something, and I'd have to go.
Mm-hmm.
When I got back from the store, she was making chicken fried steaks for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
She was putting flour on the meat. We argued back and forth for a minute, and then she stepped into the living room. I went over and sat on the Davenport.
All right, go on.
We had a few more words, and she went over to the small nightstand by the kitchen door and took out my Army automatic that I kept in there. She backed up into the kitchen and pointed the gun at her head.
Here.
She said this will end the argument once and for all. As I said, I was on the Davenport about 12 feet away from her. I yelled at her.
What'd you say?
I said, Marie, put that gun down. It's loaded. Before I could reach her, she pulled the trigger.
Then what'd you do?
I rushed over to her, but it was too late. She was dead.
Mm-hmm. What happened then?
We don't have a phone, so I rushed upstairs to the apartment right over us, Ted Carlton's. I asked him to phone for the police and the ambulance.
Did you tell Carlton about your wife?
Yes, I did. I told him she'd been shot.
Then where'd you go?
So, just like I told you, out of the apartment, I went back downstairs and waited in the living room for you people to get there.
Did you go near your wife's body?
No, I did not.
Did you always keep that gun loaded?
Yes, I did. I always kept it loaded and actuated. The shell in the chamber, but I kept the safety lock on. Marie knew how to operate the gun because I showed her for when I was out late.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't strong enough to actuate it, but she could work the safety.
Did your wife ever try to commit suicide before?
Not to my knowledge.
Mr. Robertson, you sure that everything you've told us is the truth?
It's the absolute truth, every word of it.
Well, sir, here's the way it looks to us. We think you killed your wife.
I didn't.
Let us lay out a few things for you. We talked to your friends and neighbors in the apartment house. We have people who will testify to the fact that your wife was afraid that you might kill her. She told one man that.
It isn't true. I don't know what she may have told somebody, but I didn't kill her.
It's a known fact throughout the entire apartment building that you and your wife had violent quarrels. The kind of arguments, from all reports, that could easily lead to something like this.
I told you we argued, but I didn't kill Marie. I couldn't do a thing like that.
Mr. Robertson, we've made a preliminary investigation of your apartment. You say your wife killed herself. Let me show you some of the flaws in your story here.
All I can say is what I've told you is the truth. I didn't kill her.
Now, you told us that your wife went to the nightstand and got the gun.
That's right.
How did she pick up the automatic?
How do you mean?
Well, how'd she take it from the drawer?
Like anyone would pick up a gun? By the butt? She picked it up like anybody would who was going to use it.
You're sure about that?
Positive.
She didn't touch anything but the butt.
Well, she had part of her hand on the trigger.
Well, we know that, but she didn't touch any other part of the weapon.
She did not. She didn't have time.
Well, then how do you account for the fact that we found traces of flour on the barrel of the gun?
Well, sure, she was flouring meat.
Well, how did the flour get on the barrel?
I don't know.
Well, isn't it true that when you approached her with the automatic pointed at her, she tried to ward off the shot with her hand? Now, isn't that how the flour got on that barrel?
That isn't true.
Now, you said your wife was putting flour on some steaks.
That's right.
How do you account for the fact that we didn't find any flour on the butt of the gun where it belonged? Or on the drawer of the nightstand, where you say she first picked up the automatic?
Well, I can't answer that. I don't know what all this means.
Well, it means that unless you've got some kind of explanation, we have to assume that you're lying, that you killed your wife.
I don't know how to explain all these things, but I didn't kill her.
Mr. Robertson, you say you were an Army man. Isn't that what you told us out at the apartment?
Yes, I was a sergeant in the Army during the last war.
What outfit were you with?
I was an instructor in sidearm weapons at Santa Ana Army Air Base.
Then you'd be somewhat of an authority on the Colt .45 caliber automatic pistol, wouldn't you?
I guess I would, yeah. That was one of the weapons I instructed in.
You'd know all about the system of ejection employed by the Colt Company on their .45 automatic.
Yes, I would.
The empty casing ejects to the right, up and back. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
In other words, if you were pointing a .45 at me and you pulled the trigger, the empty casing would eject to your right, up, and fall on the floor to the rear on your right side. Is that right?
Yeah, that's where it would end up.
You still maintain that your wife shot herself?
Yes, I do.
Where was she standing when she pulled the trigger?
As I told you before, in the kitchen.
How was she standing?
What do you mean?
Which way was she facing?
Well, let's see. Facing me. Yeah, that's right, in the kitchen with her back to the sink, facing out toward me.
And where were you?
On the Davenport in the living room, facing her.
Now, bearing in mind what we've already discussed and agreed upon concerning the ejection system of a .45, how do you account for the fact that the empty casing was found in the living room, 6 feet and 4 inches from the kitchen?
Well, let's see.
I'll figure it for you. The empty casing should have been found on the floor of the kitchen, somewhere to the right and rear of your wife. Isn't that about it?
I don't understand. Why are you trying to prove me guilty? I've told you, and I swear to you, I didn't kill my wife.
Well, it'd be a physical impossibility for that empty casing to have landed anywhere but in the kitchen if your wife had pulled the trigger of that automatic. Now, how about that?
What can I say? Please believe what I'm telling you. I didn't do it.
Not according to the evidence.
I don't understand any of this.
Well, here's the way we've got it reconstructed. You had a quarrel. You got the gun. You met your wife at the doorway to the kitchen. You pointed the gun at her. She tried to ward it off with her left hand, leaving flour on the barrel of the gun. You fired, and the casing was thrown up and back to the right, where it landed on the rug of the living room.
The testimony of the neighbors, the flour on your wife's hand, the position of the empty casing. Robertson, you're it.
I don't know why all these things are the way you say they are.
Well, we do. We don't believe your wife committed suicide. You think about it. Come on, Ben.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think?
Evidence we've got so far has got him tabbed.
Yeah. With all that proof, he still refuses to cop out.
Something doesn't jibe.
Maybe we can find out why.
You are listening to Dragnet. From beginning to end, Dragnet is the authentic story of your police force in action.
Now, from beginning to end, the Fatima story. Actual convincing proof that in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos. The finest domestic and Turkish varieties, extra mild and superbly blended, to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes, rolled in the finest paper money can buy. Manufactured in the newest and most modern of all cigarette factories.
Quality, even to the appearance of the bright, clean, golden yellow package, carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
Because of its quality, its extra mildness, its better flavor and aroma, more long cigarette smokers are now insisting on Fatima than ever before.
So if you smoke a long cigarette, compare Fatima. You'll find they now cost the same. But your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Insist on Fatima. Start enjoying the quality king-size cigarette. Fatima. Best of all, long cigarettes.
We had Gene Bechtel take Andrew Robertson's statement. We had his testimony that his wife had committed suicide, a fact that he couldn't prove and that we could disprove. We had before us the final investigation. All evidence was taken to the crime lab for analysis. The photographs taken at the scene were developed and brought in for careful checking. In accordance with Robertson's story, both he and his deceased wife were given paraffin tests to determine the presence of nitrates. Both of them were fingerprinted, and latent prints detail started to check them out. 2 teams of men were sent out to talk with the close relatives of the 2 people. Sunday, March 9th, 7 p.m. We got a call from Lieutenant Lee Jones that he had the final results of his investigation. We went over to the second floor of the Central Station, crime lab.
Got a couple of things for you.
Okay.
How'd you make out with Robertson?
Well, he insists that it was suicide. What's your idea on it?
Let me show you what we got.
All right.
Yeah, look at this.
A picture of the .45 casing.
That's right. Take a close look at it. Right here in particular.
Yeah.
You notice this one edge is a little crimped here?
Yeah, ejector marks.
No, here are ejector marks up here, see? This crimping is something entirely different.
What is it?
You remember where you found this casing?
6 feet 4 inches into the living room.
That's right.
And we wondered how it could have been thrown that far by the ejector if the husband's story is true.
The ejector didn't do that. I wondered, too. On closer inspection, I noticed this crimping. Let me show you how this casing got out there in the living room. Here's an identical .45 caliber Colt empty casing.
Yeah.
We place it here on the floor on a piece of carpeting, the same thickness that was in their kitchen. Linoleum. Now, watch this. I'll step on it, hitting it from an angle. There's your answer to that. When the husband ran over to his wife's side, what did he say he did?
Yeah, it's about the size of it.
He stepped on the casing accidentally, and certainly not caring about it at that moment, it bounced out into the living room just like a tiddlywink. Here. Notice the casing now, the crimping. Check it against the photo.
Yeah. Looks exactly the same way. It matches.
Did the flour on the barrel of the gun, it was flour, by the way, did it figure in for you fellas?
Well, yeah, we figured the wife was trying to ward off the gun when he pointed it at her.
Well, certainly the logical deduction. Now, let me show you how it really got on there. Here's that shot of the kitchen out there.
Yeah.
Notice the wastebasket here? It's pretty full, isn't it?
Yeah, we noticed that when we were out there.
What you probably didn't notice is this. Here's a blow-up of just that section where the wastebasket was. Can you see what's on the top of the stuff in the basket there?
Yeah, can you hold it over here, leave little
Yeah.
lights in. Yeah, it looks like a flour sack, isn't it?
That's right, an empty flour sack. Now, figuring the position of the body in relation to that wastebasket, when she dropped the gun, it fell from her hand, striking the wastebasket, bouncing off, and landing on the floor where you found it.
You said when she dropped the gun, you figured it was suicide?
It's beginning to shape up that way, isn't it?
There was no flour found on the butt of the gun.
That part of the automatic didn't come in contact with the flour sack.
Yeah, but at least she was flouring meat.
There were no traces of it on her right hand, on the palm, just on the back. In checking the clothing, we found streaks of flour where she could have wiped her hands clean before picking up the gun.
Yeah, and out there we could only see the backs of her hand. The coroner checked that through, huh? It doesn't look like he killed her.
And there's more here. As you know, we ran paraffin tests on both the victim and Robertson.
Yeah.
Here's the results of the tests.
See. Andrew Robertson, known nitrates negative. Marie Robertson, evidence of nitrates positive.
She fired a gun, he didn't, huh?
That's it. There's something else. Here's the report from latent prints. Smudges. One good thumbprint, right hand, belonging to Marie Robertson, indicating she was the last one to handle a weapon.
Well, that's about it, Lee?
No, that's more for you. Now, this shot was taken facing the east wall of the kitchen. Now, that's the wall that would be on anyone's left, sitting on the Davenport in the front room.
That's right.
Wouldn't be possible to see that wall from the Davenport.
No, it wouldn't, that's right.
You can see the white X where we located the slug.
Yeah.
Relative to the position of the body, if she was standing, holding the gun at approximately a right angle with the side of her head, the bullet would come to rest approximately 4 inches below the crown of her head.
Yeah. Does it check out?
The coroner says she was 5'4". The bullet was found at a height of 5 1/8, proving that she shot herself rather than anyone else doing it, judging from the inclination of the bullet. As you know, this is critical.
Yeah.
From what it's worth, the condition of the wound indicates that it was inflicted from extreme close range, fair point when you consider that most people wouldn't submit to being shot from close range without a struggle or unless taken by surprise.
From all reports, we know she wasn't taken by surprise.
Well, that's it, fellas. That's all we have.
Well, thanks, Lee. Sure enough.
Crime Lab, Jones. Yeah, right here. Just a minute. Either one of you.
All right, Lee, I'll get it, huh? Thanks. Friday. Oh, hi, Harry. You did, huh? What's that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you have the letter with you? It does, huh? Yeah? Yeah, right, Harry. Thank you very much. Bye. Harry Fremont. He just left Marie Robertson's mother.
What'd she have to say?
Well, Fremont says she gave him a letter. He's on his way in with it now. It was written by Marie Robertson. It says something about taking her own life. Her mother says that the husband couldn't have done it. Says the daughter's shown indication in the past of wanting to take her own life.
Well, that about cinches it.
Makes you feel kind of good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Finding a man clear on a charge instead of having to hang him up.
Come on, Ben.
Right.
Where you headed?
Back across the street.
Wait till I get my coat. I'll go with you.
What for?
I want to see him, too, when you tell him.
The story you've just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On March 12th, the hearing was held in the office of the coroner, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that hearing.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, a great many listeners have written us saying that they first bought Fatimas because they liked our program. But they go on to say that after smoking their first pack, they agree with everything that we've said about them. That Fatimas are extra mild. That they do have a better flavor and aroma. Well, naturally, we're pleased when you get acquainted with Fatimas because all of us on Dragnet are convinced Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes. When you buy your first pack, I'm sure you'll agree. In Fatima, the difference is quality.
Andrew William Robertson was immediately released from custody. A 510 form was made out, exonerating him from any complicity in the death of his wife.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. James M. Fox, President of the Southern California chapter of the Mystery Writers of America.
The Edgar Allan Poe Awards of the Mystery Writers of America are made each year for outstanding contributions in the field of mystery. This year, by a nationwide vote of 300 professional mystery writers, the radio award goes to Dragnet for consistent excellence in the use of the medium in the best traditions of our craft. The Mystery Writers of America are happy to present their Edgars, statuettes of Poe, to Dragnet's Jim Moser, who writes the scripts, and a duplicate statuette to Dragnet. Congratulations, Mr. Moser.
Thank you, Mr. Fox.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, portions transcribed from Los Angeles.
Stay tuned for Counter Spy, next over many NBC stations.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to burglary detail. For the past 18 weeks, a gang of safe men have been breaking into large grocery stores all over the city. They work fast. You can't localize their operations. Your job? Get them.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
was Wednesday, September 16th. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of burglary detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Captain Wisdom. My name's Friday. It was 7:45 a.m. when I got to the service station on the corner. The phone booth.
City Hall.
2524, please.
2524. Burglary, Rubles.
Hi, Dick. This is Friday. Romero there?
Hold on, Joe.
Thank you.
Hey, Romero, take two. Romero.
This is Friday, Ben.
Yeah, where you been?
Well, my car again. Something's wrong with that distributor. I'm going to leave it at the service station. I'll grab a streetcar down, huh?
Hey, hit again, Joe. This one makes 37 job.
Where at this time?
Wilson Brothers Market at Melrose and Green. Drilled the safe and walked out with $462.
Well, our stakeouts are doing a lot of good, aren't they? I'm worn out from last night.
I didn't get any sleep either. Just had time to go home and brush my teeth when this thing broke.
Okay. You said Melrose and Green?
Yeah, that's right. I won't wait for you. I'll go right on out there.
Okay.
Armstrong and Rubel just left.
Right. I can get over there as fast as I can.
Old man was down here bright and early. Things are jumping.
Okay. I'll see you later, huh?
Oh, Joe, just a minute.
Yeah.
Skipper just came in. Who you got on the other end there? Friday. You on your way to Melrose and Green? That's right. When you get back, I want to see you two in my office. Right. I guess you heard him.
Yeah, I did.
Guess you could tell from the tone of his voice.
Yeah. Sounds a little upset. How's he look?
Same way.
For 18 weeks, Ben and I had been assigned to this same case. The burglary gang was victimizing only Wilson Brothers markets throughout the city and in surrounding towns adjacent to the city of Los Angeles. Their criminal activities had given them well over $100,000 stolen from these various markets. Additional officers were assigned from the Metropolitan Division, and the case had grown to large proportions. It was 12 minutes past 8 when I arrived at Melrose and Green Streets, the latest Wilson market to be victimized.
Same thing, Joe, just like all the rest.
Yeah. The crime lab find anything?
Been here and gone. They found a few particles of cloth, probably from the guy's gloves, some metal shavings for spectrographical analysis. Same as on all the other jobs.
Well, how'd they gain entry?
Same way, around front. Looks like a tire iron. Pried the door open.
How about the burglar alarm?
No problem. There's a ladder. Climb up and take a look.
Yeah.
See it?
Yeah, I see it. Cut the key leads again, huh?
Nothing's different, Joe. Just exactly the same. All around.
Well, that really tears it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
252 men on stakeout last night, and they know just which market to hit, one that isn't covered.
When you figure Wilson's got over 300 stores, we can't cover them all.
I think we might have some of the luck. We're sure overdue.
Nobody could be this lucky this long.
Well, they're out to break the record. Haven't turned up anything new at all, huh?
Not so far. I've been looking around. Come on.
Yeah. Rubels and Armstrong in the store?
Yeah, they're checking the back of the store, stock room, employees' locker room.
And how much was taken?
Told you on the phone, $462. Some checks, about $200 worth.
Well, this is Wednesday. I suppose the thieves have discontinued the weekend jobs?
I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Here's the box.
Yeah. Sure a good, clean job. A lot different than those first ones, huh?
Yeah, they've come a long way.
Well, the safe was certainly well lighted, wasn't it?
200-watt bulb up there. Mm-hmm. Still burning when we got here.
Doesn't do much good with all those boxes piled up over there in front of the window, though.
Manager says they weren't there when he closed up last night.
Well, nothing seems to bother them, does it? They move in, don't chance turning out the light. They just pile crates up between themselves and the street, and then they take their time drilling the box.
That's it. Here's the usual empty pop bottles, 3 of them.
Yeah, to cool the bits with, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Friday. Didn't know you were here yet.
Well, hello, Rubels. How are you?
Maybe we got something.
Yeah?
Fished these out of the drain in the bathroom.
What do you got?
Looks like they tried to get rid of them. Some of the checks torn up and this fishing license ripped in two.
Well, could I see those?
Hey.
Charles W. Royal, issued last month.
Good chance he might have carried the license in his pocket and got it mixed up with the checks. First, maybe he was going to take the checks, but changed his mind, tore them up, the license with him.
Well, let's hope you're right, Dick. But it might just belong to some employee here.
Well, we've been kind of figuring these jobs might have an inside connection. Maybe this is it, huh?
Let's check it out.
Well, maybe this is the break we've been looking for. We went back to the office and checked the name Charles W. Royal through R&I. No record. We contacted the management of the Wilson Markets. He had been an employee at the store which was just held up. He had been transferred 6 months prior to their Van Nuys branch. In checking back, we found that the Van Nuys Market was one of the first stores to be burglarized. It was placed under surveillance for several days, and during this period, another Wilson Market was burglarized. The officers conducting the surveillance accounted for all of Royal's time during the burglary. He was brought in for questioning and cleared of any complicity in the burglaries. Monday, September 28th, 8 a.m., we met with Captain Wisdom.
The reason for Royal's fishing license being in with those checks was because he left it behind at that store when he was transferred.
That's right. Manager of the store confirmed it. Said he kept it in a safe for him so it wouldn't get lost.
Well, that lead went nowhere.
None of them go anywhere. We don't get any leads.
Been no kickbacks on any of our teletypes, APBs, or radiograms.
Between Armstrong, Rubles, and Ben and I, the girls in the stats office think we're on the payroll down there. We're wearing out the cards, having to make runs on the gang's M.O. for us.
How about that last stuff Burton from CII sent down?
Well, we checked all three of them out. Nothing.
Boys in the crime lab got a lot of physical evidence if they could make something out of it.
That's just it. You can't make something out of nothing. You haven't got much up there. A few steel shavings off those safes, a couple of broken bits, handful of cotton fuzz they think is off the guy's gloves. You can't work miracles.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't think we've overlooked anything, Captain. Every neighborhood in the vicinity of every burglary has been checked and rechecked.
And all you turned up was that one woman?
Yeah, the one that saw the three men out in back of the Wilson Market over on Vermont. She thought they worked there. Didn't know she'd witnessed a burglary, we told her.
Mm-hmm. She couldn't identify any of them, huh?
No, she couldn't.
I just checked with the sheriff's office. These burglaries are driving them crazy, too. No leads.
Boys from the parole office have been trying to give us a hand. We've checked out everything they sent us on dischargees and parolees. Nothing fits.
Well, did the markets seem to be cooperating, holding up their end as they were instructed?
Well, as far as we can tell, right to the letter, yeah.
All the safes that were concealed in any way have been moved out in a more conspicuous spot, all well illuminated.
The Wilson Company has bought better-made safes to replace the ones that were broken into. They're replacing their old models as fast as they can. Doesn't seem to stop them.
Yeah, all that's according to the book. Doesn't figure with all those precautions they'd be foolish enough to tip off the thieves.
Mind me.
Here, take a look at this.
Yeah.
Larson and Gunn turned this up at that Venice Boulevard job night before last.
Mimeograph stakeout instructions. Huh?
That's right. Put out by the management of the markets. Every time we inform them of a stakeout night, they put these inter-store memos out.
Yeah.
That was for the purpose of informing all the different store managers of the police department's plans so they'd be sure and comply with our instructions.
Yeah.
Motive was okay, but the effects have been causing us more trouble than we know.
Well, weren't these destroyed after the store managers read them?
Apparently not. We notified the management of the stores to be staked out a week in advance so that they could quietly let the stores know about it. Whether we wanted the lights left on or turned off to move the safe out of hiding, all the various instructions.
And the management of the market chain just took it on themselves to send out these memoed sheets, huh?
And not only that, in checking the last couple of jobs, either these sheets were in the manager's desks or they were posted in the store someplace.
All the thieves had to do was go through a desk or check a bulletin board and they knew right where we'd be. Huh?
Without this advance information, maybe it'll slow them down. Maybe we can write in on part of the luck. We're due.
Yeah.
Now, come on over here to the pin map. Well, here you are, Friday. A red pin for you and one for you, Romero.
Mm-hmm.
You put them in. I got calluses on my thumb from trying to keep up with those thieves.
Yeah. Venice Boulevard and Rockwell.
Mm-hmm.
Vermont Marathon.
Yeah, just look at them on there. They're going to run us out of pins if we don't blow the whistle on them.
Well, I'm getting a little sick of it myself.
You take a good look at the map here.
Yeah.
All the red pins are these market jobs in and around here and through here.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, Wilson's got stores throughout most of Southern California.
Yeah.
They've hit in and around the metropolitan area, Pomona, Glendale, a couple of times with the beach cities. But look over here.
That's Eagle Rock.
Yeah. Now, for some reason, they're leaving Eagle Rock alone. There's 7 Wilson markets out there, not one of them have been touched.
Well, maybe they'll hit there next, huh?
And we double-checked all cruiser units out there, told them to be doubly alert. Also to report any suspicious moves around any of the stores. I want to report on any and all cars driving below normal speeds anywhere near those markets. Anything even remotely out of line. There's 7 stores in and around that area. Excuse me. Burglary, Wisdom. The highball. Who's that? They did. Colorado and Bryce. Yeah, right away. Yep. That was Lieutenant Vaughn, Highland Park. I was wrong. There's only 6 stores in Eagle Rock now.
What do you mean?
They knocked one over last night.
The preliminary investigation of the Wilson Brothers Market in Eagle Rock yielded no additional physical evidence, but it definitely showed that we were dealing with the same gang of thieves. In this last burglary, they got away with $1,852. 1:34 p.m. After 5 hours of continuous checking in the immediate neighborhood of the latest market to be burglarized, Ben and I located a Mrs. Olive Rebard. We felt sure that we'd reached a turning point in the case. Mrs. Rebard had seen 2 of the gang members at work in the Wilson Market at Colorado and Bryce in Eagle Rock. She agreed to come downtown and go through photographs of criminal suspects.
No. Not any of these.
Let's try the next 2 pages.
Certainly are a lot of them, aren't there?
Yes, ma'am. There's still a lot more to go here.
I see it. No. No, none of these.
Well, that finishes this book.
How many does that make that we've been through?
I believe this one makes 15.
Just looking at all those faces makes you wonder, are there any honest people?
Well, these books represent an accumulation of many years, you understand.
You keep pictures of everybody ever been in prison?
Well, within our jurisdiction, yes, and a great many more besides.
I see.
Ben, how about that Folsom book up there for 45 and 46?
All right. I'll put this one back.
Fine. 46, yeah, that's it.
All right, here we are. You ready, Mrs. Rebar?
All right. No. No, I don't believe it's any of these.
All right.
Turn the next page there.
Now, how about these?
No. This one. No. No. That one fellow looked a little like one of them. I thought he did it first.
Which one was that?
This one.
Okay.
No, I was wrong. He looked familiar at first glance.
Well, now, we told you before, Ms. Rebart, if any of these men, their ears, eyes, nose, chin, any part of them looks like any part of the men that you saw, we'd like to know that. We'll have our Sergeant Putoff up in our crime lab drop a composite for you.
You mean you put all the different features together?
Yes, ma'am. If you think it might help in any way, I mean, it'll certainly help us.
I didn't realize that you were that thorough.
Oh, we have to be.
Well, I'm just not that sure about any of their features. It was just like I told you, I didn't get too good a look at them, but I thought I might remember. There's so many pictures here.
Well, would you like to rest a little while, Ms. Rebard? We've been going at this thing for about 2 hours now.
No, that's all right. No, I want to help if I can.
I think I'll open this door, little Joe.
All right.
Got a little draft in from the hall. Yeah. Gets a little stuffy in here sometimes.
Thank you.
I wonder if you'd like a cold drink of some kind. Coke, something like that?
No, thank you. That's very kind. I don't care for one.
All right. Would you like to go on?
Yes, I think.
All right.
No. Mm-mm. You understand that when I saw these men in the store, I had to look through the front window. They must have been at least 40 feet away from me. I had to shout to be heard.
Yes, ma'am, we understand.
They didn't come over to me at all.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't believe that they were really those lightning burglars. Isn't that what the paper called them?
Yes, ma'am.
They were just as big as life. They were standing behind the meat counter. They even had on the butcher's apron. Still hard to believe, because they didn't act like burglars at all.
Sometimes they don't.
Well, the only thing that struck me funny was that anybody be working there on a Sunday. I've seen men in there before. It just didn't seem right that they'd be working there. I wanted to get in to pick up a box of starch. They told me to come back Monday morning when they were open.
Well, if you could have seen over the counter from where you were standing, you would have seen the floor safe right there in the meat department. They were trying to open it.
I never would have known it. You're sure you people couldn't have made a mistake?
No, ma'am, I don't think so. We've checked there, and there was no authorized employees in that store yesterday morning.
That's so. Well, must have been them then.
Yeah, we're pretty sure it was. Yeah.
Let me help you there, Mrs. Rebard. These pages are stuck together.
Thank you.
There. There you are.
I've seen so many photographs, they're all beginning to look alike to me.
Mm-hmm. If you'd like to rest a while, that's fine. Maybe you'd like to go home and come back a little later with it.
You know something?
What's that, ma'am?
I'm positive now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know those men if I saw them.
You are listening to Dragnet. From beginning to end, Dragnet is the authentic story of your police force in action.
Once more, what appeared to first be a good lead dissolved into nothing. The stakeouts were continued. Everything possible was being done to apprehend them. The burglaries of the Wilson markets continued. On the night of October 3rd, officers D.B. O'Connell and P.W. Murphy were working a stakeout on one of the Wilson markets in Eagle Rock. At 2:33 a.m., they had observed a gray Ford Coupe, California license 9 Robert 9813, driving at normal speed until reaching the storefront and then slowing down perceptibly, showing unusual interest in the market. Lieutenant Armstrong and Sergeant Rubles checked the license number through DMV. The car was registered to a Clyde R. Bingham, 233 South Carmona Place in Eagle Rock. He was placed under surveillance while we made a thorough check into his background. We located him at the neighborhood bar on Colorado Boulevard. We talked to him for an hour.
So that's it. I'm not your man.
You sure you didn't drive past that Wilson market on Bellevue Avenue?
I didn't say I've never driven by it, but not on the night you said.
Well, have you driven by it on other nights?
I wouldn't remember that. I live out here, and I drive down Bellevue a lot, but I don't know if I've ever been by that market. I suppose I have.
We have your license number and the word of 2 officers who saw you.
I'm afraid they must be mistaken. You have the word of Benny and Walt. You just talked to them. I told you I was here on the night of October 3rd. I stayed here until almost daylight talking to Walt. He closed up at 2, and we sat around and talked.
Where'd you say your car was parked all this time?
Right out in front. Ben Walt told you that, too. I'm telling you, I never left this place the other night.
Mm-hmm. Is it possible you could have forgotten?
Not all 3 of us.
And you didn't loan your car to anybody?
No, sir. I never loaned my car. Stayed right out there in front.
What'd you say you did after this place closed?
As I said, I sat around and talked to Walt. He owns the place.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you talk about?
Oh, I don't know, this and that. I don't recall exactly.
Did you go to work the following day?
Yes, sir, I did.
Seems funny you'd sit up all night talking and then go to work.
I don't have to be to work until I please. You know, I'm my own boss.
Yeah, well, you run your business all by yourself, do you?
No, I have 2 secretaries. They make out checks, keep the books.
What kind of business did you say you were in?
Business management. You know, the thing that bothers me is why you're asking me all these questions.
Routine investigation.
Doesn't sound very routine to me. I don't understand.
We're on an assignment. During the course of that assignment, it became necessary to interrogate you.
I still don't understand. Anything else you want to know?
No, sir. I think that pretty well covers it.
Something I'd like to know.
Yeah.
Is there a law against slowing down in front of a market?
Ben and I felt that Bingham was lying for some reason that we were not aware of. All efforts were made to determine that reason. We made a complete search of his residence. His relatives, friends, and associates were interrogated. The 2 men who had alibied for him were checked out. No evidence was obtained to connect him in any way with the Wilson market burglaries. The surveillance was continued on the 3 men. During the next 2 weeks, another market was burglarized. None of the 3 men could have been involved in any way. Another month went by. The burglaries continued unchecked. The newspapers had dubbed them the Lightning Bandits. There was only one exception to the title. By this time, they'd begun to repeat on markets, to hit again where they had burglarized a safe previously. December 3rd, 4 a.m., Ben and I were cruising the central area of the section not covered by stakeout.
I figure there's only one way to beat this thing.
Yeah, what's that?
Ask for a transfer before they offer us one.
Well, it seems like every way we turn, we're stopped. No leads, nothing.
Here it is almost Christmas again. Those market thieves started last Easter.
Yeah, I know. Well, we got everything covered again tonight as best we can.
We could just keep all the markets covered at one time.
Well, that's been done a couple of times, you know that.
Yeah, I know that, but keep them covered all the time till we get to them. If we had the manpower, we could do it.
Yeah. You want to swing in close to the curb? Here's another market.
Yeah. You see anything?
No, nothing on this side. I can't see the safe in there, can you?
No.
Those vegetable counters are partially blocking it. Lights on, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this side's clear, too.
Rear of the store backs up against that other building, doesn't it?
Yeah, only a front and side entrance. You swing around again. Will you make a U?
You see something?
No. I'm not sure. Just pull back up in front again, huh?
Right.
Okay, this is fine. You want to kill your engine?
Mm-hmm.
You hear that?
I'm not sure.
Come on. You hear it now?
No, it stopped.
Come on.
They're throwing vegetables at that front window.
They're trying to draw our attention here. Now, you cover the side. I'll try to force them to you.
Right. There's the news right.
Right, I see it.
All right, hold it right there. Get your hands in the air. I got it, Joe.
You want to shake him down?
Yeah, right. All right, stand still.
Cover him, Joe. I'll see if there's any more besides these two.
Right.
Who tipped you off?
If we'd have had a tip, we'd have gotten you a long time ago.
That's it. Just these two.
Somebody must tip you off. You couldn't be this lucky.
Why not? You've had your share. The two men were taken into custody and were identified as Wilfred Lawson and Thomas Greenfield. A check with R&I showed no previous record on either man. After a short interrogation, Wilfred Lawson admitted his part in all of the burglaries of the Wilson Brothers markets. He steadily refused to give us any information as to the other possible members of the burglary gang. Thomas Greenfield was interrogated. He was the more timid of the two. He claimed that this was the first job he'd been on with Lawson, that he did not know of any other members of the gang, that he'd only served as lookout on this particular burglary, and that he was not deeply involved. In further investigation of the two suspects, Armstrong and Rubel found that they had been seen in the company of still another man. It was impossible to get any kind of lead on the remaining suspect. We took the matter up with Captain Wisdom. It was our combined belief that we should allow Thomas Greenfield to be released on the grounds that we believed his story about his slight part in the crimes. He was placed under close 24-hour surveillance. Thursday, December 6th. 2 days after we released Thomas Greenfield, we were called into Captain Wisdom's office.
Guess we played it the right way in letting Thomas go.
How do you mean?
Well, first of all, we passed one up last October. You remember Bingham? The guy driving slow past the market in Eagle Rock?
Yeah.
Well, he's the one we want. And these two letters, both postmarked today, we picked them up on that mail stop on Lawson.
Where are they from, Thomas?
Yeah, a couple of choice parts. Yeah, listen to this. Client says to tell you he's not sore anymore. Ever since that mix-up, him and Walt and Benny decided this was the best way to play it. He says he don't want no part of what's yours. And then there's a lot more here. It says he'll get an attorney for Lawson, and he thinks he really put one over on us. Anyway, all three of them are in it all the way.
Well, how does Bingham figure in it? We had him under surveillance, didn't we?
You know, listen to this from this other letter. Oh, yeah, here it is. I've been talking with C.B. Clyde Bingham, getting real clever now using initials.
Yeah.
I've been talking with C.B. several times only on the phone. He's really not sore. He only laid out since that time. He figured he might be hot. That's enough, isn't it?
It's all there. It adds.
Okay, you got one to roll on.
Yeah.
Go out and pick him up. This time we'll keep him.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On March 22nd, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 88, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial. All three suspects, Wilfred George Lawson, Clyde Robert Bingham, and Thomas Llewellyn Greenfield, were filed on for burglary in the second degree. Wilfred G. Lawson was filed on for 12 counts, Clyde R. Bingham for 6 counts, Thomas L. Greenfield for 3 counts, sentences to run consecutively. They are now serving their time in the state penitentiary. In view of the fact that the authorities were unable to prove the defendants were armed at the time of the burglaries and the stores were not inhabited, they could only be filed on for burglary in the second degree. Second-degree burglary is punishable by a term of not less than 1 nor more than 15 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, we wish to gratefully acknowledge the Michael Award presented by the Academy of Radio and Television Arts and Sciences. The Academy voted Dragnet the finest program of its kind. It is with deep humility that Dragnet accepts this citation, the highest award bestowed by the radio and television industries.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, portions transcribed from Los Angeles.
Stay tuned for Counterspy next over most NBC stations.
Fatima Cigarettes is proud to present its Academy Award-winning radio program. The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned the homicide detail. A young mother is murdered in bed while her 7-year-old son sleeps by her side. The killer was vicious and cunning. Your job? Get him. You'll be amazed when you compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
The size is the same. They now cost the same. But in Fatima, the difference is quality.
You see, Fatima is the quality king-size cigarette because it contains the finest domestic and Turkish tobaccos superbly blended. And Fatima is extra mild, with a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette.
So compare Fatima yourself. Fatimas now cost the same as other long cigarettes, but your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Buy Fatima. They're extra mild, with a better flavor and aroma. Smoke Fatima, the quality king-size cigarette. Fatima, best of all long cigarettes.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, July 9th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. It was 11:25 p.m. when we got to 543 West Bixel Street. Front door.
Homicide?
That's right. This is Friday. My name's Romero.
Klein, Unit 69.
How are you?
Partner's Thomas. He's in with the victim's mother and son. Back this way, sleeping porch.
Okay.
What's the story?
Yeah, really a nasty mess. Looks like a shotgun. Victim's face is half gone.
What's the name?
Josephine Stevens, 28 years old.
What do you got so far?
Not much. Her mother's in a state of shock. Talked to the young boy for a minute. Pretty terrible. Here's the sleeping porch.
Dear God.
Yeah.
You got a little kid by her side. It knocks the props out from under you.
What do you got on it?
Seems as Josephine Stevens and her 7-year-old boy was sleeping in the bed when it happened. Haven't been able to fill it all out yet, but from what the youngster told us, it happened about 30 minutes ago.
I'd say it was a shotgun, too, wouldn't you, Joe?
Yeah, looks like it.
You can see by the head of the bed here, it looks like shotgun pellets.
Yeah.
The screen in the door here looks like it was recently torn.
Yeah, Thomas and I noticed that, too. We made an immediate search of the area. Didn't turn up anybody. Backyard, round the side, shrubbery, didn't find anything.
Yeah?
We were careful not to step off onto the soft earth anywhere around. Didn't want a chance destroying any prints or anything.
That's fine.
Did you talk to the girl's mother at all, Klein?
Very little. She's still hysterical. Doesn't seem to know what she's saying. Couldn't tell us very much.
Yeah, well, let's step into the next room, huh?
Room's just the way we found it. Nothing out of order. Dresser drawers are all closed. Room hadn't been prowled.
No, it doesn't look like the work of a burglar or a prowler.
Well, a burglar or prowler wouldn't be carrying a shotgun either, would he?
The only thing Thomas and I found were a cut in the screen, the gate around the side of the house there. It was open.
Crime lab been called?
Haven't had time to do it right now.
No, never mind. I'll take care of it. I want to call in anyway. Do they have a phone here?
Right in the kitchen there on that table.
Okay, thank you. I figure we could use some help, don't you?
Yeah. They're right there to your left.
Yeah, I see it. Thank you. 2643, please.
2643? Crime lab, Alan.
This is Friday, G.
Yeah, Joe.
We're at 543 West Bixel. Got a homicide. We're going to need prints, photographs, the whole deal, Jay. Looks like the woman was killed with a shotgun.
Let me double-check that address, Joe. 543 West Bixel.
Yeah, that's right.
You got a phone out there?
Yeah, it's Hollywood 93199.
We'll get right on it, Joe.
Thanks. Say, Jay, could you transfer me to 2521, please?
Right. Operator? 2521. 2521. Homicide, Sanchez.
Sanchez, this is Friday.
What'd you find out there?
Oh, it's a bad one. Shotgun killing. Haven't got too much yet. We're going to have some help.
What do you need?
We need somebody to cover the area. We don't know what we got yet. Talk to the witnesses, neighbors, cover the parked cars.
Right.
Will you send out a broadcast for us? Alert all units to be on the lookout for a person or persons with a shotgun in their possession.
Take care of it right away. How many men you think you need?
Well, at least 4 crews. Could you get them out right away?
Okay, anything else?
No, I'll fill them in when they get here. Thanks a lot, Sanchez.
Right, Joe.
All right, bye.
Everything okay?
Yeah.
Klein says we could talk to the youngster.
You don't think it'd do any good to talk to Mother?
She's still in bad shape. Imagine she'll be all right in a little while, but I think you just wasted time right now.
Well, I forgot something.
What's that?
I forgot to call the coroner.
I'll take care of it for you.
Well, would you take the boy into the front part of the house for us?
Sure.
Fine. Then if you'll just call Sanchez down in Homicide downtown, he'll notify the coroner for us.
Right.
Thanks a lot.
Joe, you want to see something break your heart?
Yeah, what's that?
There's some blood on the floor there, leading from the sleeping porch to this bedroom here.
Yeah. Look like small footprints, huh?
They are. Little boys.
Well, let's go in the front room.
Yeah. This is a boy, 7 years old, name's Charles.
Right. Thanks, Glenn.
I'll make that call for you right away, Friday. Hello, son.
What happened to my mommy?
I'm sorry. You better take it, Joe.
Yeah. Come over here to me, son. Charles, is that your name?
Charlie.
Well, my name's Joe, Charlie.
Yes, sir. Mr. Joe?
Well, it's Joe Friday, son.
Mr. Friday, are you a policeman?
Yeah, that's right, Charlie. Now, that other man in the uniform, Officer Klein,
Yes, sir.
he said that you might be able to tell us what happened here. Do you feel like talking about it, son?
Mr. Friday, do you know what happened to my mommy?
Well, that's what we're trying to find out, son. We'd just like to ask you a few questions.
She's hurt bad, isn't she? Did she talk to you? She wouldn't talk to me. Grandma and those other policemen wouldn't let me stay in there.
Well, can you tell us what happened here?
You want me to tell you like I told the other policemen?
If you would, please.
I wish you'd let me go in and see Mommy. She could tell you a lot better than I can.
Well, she's hurt kind of bad, son. We just thought that maybe you'd tell us.
Well, we were sleeping in the bed on the back porch.
Mm-hmm.
We just got to bed, and Mommy was reading me a story. And then I heard this man at the screen door.
Did you see the man, Charlie?
No, I didn't. Mommy wouldn't let me.
Well, how do you mean, son? How do you know it was a man, then?
Well, somebody was cutting the screen at the door. I thought it was a man.
But you're not sure? You didn't see him?
No, sir, I didn't see anybody. It was dark outside.
You heard somebody cutting the screen, though, is that right?
Yes, sir. Then Mommy sat up in bed. I started to sit up, too, but she wouldn't let me. She pushed me back down and said, keep down.
Mm-hmm. Can you remember exactly what she said, Charlie?
She said just to keep down. That's all she said.
Well, then what happened?
I heard this big gun, and Mommy fell down on the bed again. I could tell she was cut. I could see blood all over her.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to talk to her, but she wouldn't talk to me. So then I went to get Grandma.
Now, after you heard the gun, did you hear anything else?
I don't know what you mean.
Well, did you hear anybody running outside the house? Anything like that?
I don't remember. I don't think so. I got up and went into Grandma's room. I was awful scared. I don't know why Mommy wouldn't talk to me. She always used to when I was scared.
Well, now, can you think of anything else that you might be able to tell us, son?
No, sir. I just don't know why anybody would hurt my Mommy. She's so good. She never hurts anybody.
Where's your father, Charlie?
I don't know where he is. They don't live together anymore now.
Mm-hmm. How long has it been since you saw your father, son?
Just last Sunday it was. Yesterday, I guess. I see him every Sunday.
Well, do you have any idea who might want to hurt your mother?
No, sir. Nobody.
All right. What do you think, Ben?
Charlie.
Yes, sir?
Did your mother and father seem to argue with one another very much?
Before we moved here to Grandma's house, they used to argue all the time. That's when we lived in the apartment.
Is that why you moved over here, son?
Yes, sir, that's partly it. Mama had to work, and she didn't want to leave me alone here, so we moved over to Grandma's house.
Mm-hmm. Do you think your father would ever hurt your mother? Did he ever say anything about ever hurting her?
My daddy was always so good to me. He used to buy me all kinds of things. I don't think he was ever mean to anybody.
See? Do you remember your mother ever saying she was afraid of anybody?
No, sir. She was never afraid of anybody.
How do you know that, son?
She and Grandma used to always tell me that I'm the man of the family. As long as I'm around, they're not scared of anybody.
Oh, I see.
But when you talk to Mama, you won't tell her, will you?
Tell her what, son?
She always says that big men don't cry about things. When Grandma came out on the porch, she started to cry, and she took me into her room, and she cried some more. I guess I cried a lot, too. When you talk to Mommy, you won't tell her that, will you?
No, we won't.
I've never really known. Was that right? Do big men ever cry?
Yes, son. They cry.
.45 p.m. The crime lab men arrived and went to work. They found 3 shotgun pellets embedded in the wall to the right and above the head of the victim's bed. 2 additional lead pellets were removed from the bedstead above the pillow on the right side of Josephine Stevens' bed. This fact, in conjunction with the position of the hole ripped in the screen door, proved that the victim was sitting up in bed at the time of the shooting. This fact, too, showed why the 7-year-old boy lived and his mother died. Further investigation showed that the fatal shot was fired from outside through the hole in the screen door. The search of the surrounding area failed to yield the murder weapon or any additional physical evidence. The neighbors were all checked. They could add nothing to what we already knew. The few who had heard the blast from the shotgun thought it was backfire from a passing car. Units in the area of the murder picked up 14 possible suspects on the street and in the neighborhood at the time of the killing. They were all checked out and cleared of any connection with the crime. Josephine Stevens' mother, Mrs. James Edwards, was in a near state of collapse, but she managed to give us a statement. Her story corroborated that of 7-year-old Charles Stevens. Supplemental broadcasts and an all-points bulletin were put out to try and locate the killer. Ben and I drove over to 1543 East Workman Street to check out the husband of the murdered woman. Well, this is it, huh?
Yeah, White House here.
All right, let's go.
Car parked in the driveway.
Yeah. The hood's warm. The car's been used recently.
Yeah, you got your flashlight?
Yeah, here.
All right. The car's registered to Keith Stevens.
Yeah, come on. The lights are on inside, huh?
Yeah.
Yes?
Mr. Keith Stevens?
Yes, that's right.
Police officers like to talk to you.
Want to come in?
Yes, sir, thank you.
What's the trouble, officer?
When's the last time you saw your wife, Stevens?
Why?
Well, when did you see her last?
Well, I was over there yesterday. Always go over every Sunday to visit my little boy, Charlie. My wife and I are separated. That's what we agreed on.
And that's the last time that you saw her?
Yes, it is. Why?
Well, I'm sorry to have to tell you this. Your wife is dead.
What's that?
I'm sorry.
You're kidding. She was all right yesterday. There must be some mistake here.
No, sir, I'm afraid not.
Josephine Stevens. You sure?
543 West Bexel Street.
I gotta sit down. What happened?
She was shot.
Well, how? I can't believe this.
Well, we're working on it now. Somebody shot her while she was in bed.
I just saw her yesterday. How did it happen? Was it an accident?
No, sir. Somebody killed her.
How about little Charlie? He sleeps with his mother. Is Charlie all right?
Yes, sir. He's fine. He wasn't hurt at all. It was a small miracle how he came out of it, but apparently his safety was the last thing your wife thought of before she was killed.
It's just terrible. I still can't believe what you're saying is true. Who in the world would do a thing like this?
We want to know that, too. We need your help.
Well, where's my boy? I better go right over and see my boy.
He's in good hands with his grandmother. We just want to ask you a few questions, and then you can go right over and see him.
All right. You got to get whoever did this terrible thing.
Yes, sir. We're going to try.
Well, how is it that you happen to be up this late at night?
I just got home from work. I work the swing shift at Gibney's.
That's the steel mill down in Alameda?
Yes, that's right.
Did you work today?
Yes, I told you. I just this minute got in.
Swing shift. What hours would that be?
4 to 12.
Did you work the full shift today?
I did. You don't think I would have done this thing?
Well, you have to check everybody.
Is there somebody out at the plant that can verify the fact that you were out there during the entire shift today?
Yes, my lead man and I always punch my time card in and out.
How do you get to work?
I drive. My car's right outside there, blue Chevy.
Do you own any firearms?
No, I don't.
You ever owned any?
No, never have. Didn't want a gun around with a boy.
I see.
You live here alone?
No, since the wife and I split up, I live with another fella here.
Mm-hmm. Where is he tonight?
He's out somewhere, usually home when I get here.
Do you have any idea where he might be? Does he go out much?
He goes out quite a bit. He's going with some girl. Might be at a movie or something like that.
Does he know your wife?
Well, not too well, no. I think I took him over to the house one Sunday. He met my son, Charlie, and my wife.
Try to take it easy, Mr. Stephen.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's kind of hard to take.
Yes, sir, we understand.
This man that you live with here, what's his name?
Carl Walters.
Where'd you know him from?
He advertised in the papers. He said he wanted somebody to share a small house with him. I answered the ad, and we seemed to hit it right off from the start. He's okay.
What do you know about him?
I know enough to know he's all right. I wouldn't want to get him mixed up in this.
Well, has this Walters ever been in trouble? Has he ever been arrested?
Not that I know of. He's a good guy. Fine Army record.
I see. Have you ever been arrested?
No, sir, I never have.
Any kind of an arrest? Misdemeanor, anything like that?
Never.
You never been in jail for any reason?
No, sir, never have. I had traffic tickets, but I've never been in jail for any reason. I always paid my fines, never had any trouble.
Have you any idea who might want to do a thing like this?
No, no one. How did it happen? Did they break in the house?
No, it wasn't burglary or anything like that. Somebody just wanted to do away with your wife. If you can think of anybody who might do a thing like this, it'd help.
You know, we've been separated for a while. Maybe she took up with someone who'd do something like this. I wouldn't know. I can't think of anybody I know that'd do this.
I see.
She and I have had our ups and downs, or we wouldn't be apart. We argued time and again over the custody of Charlie, but nothing serious. Can't tell you what a shock this is to me.
You say that you don't own a gun. Do you know of any of your friends or hers that might?
No, I can't think of anybody.
Well, this fellow Carl Walters, what can you tell us about him?
Now, please, he's all right. He certainly had nothing to do with this.
Well, we just want to be sure to check everybody out. If you can tell us, it may save him some embarrassment.
Well, I realize you have to be sure, but please believe me, he's all right.
You say he doesn't know your wife at all?
No, just that one meeting.
You're sure he couldn't have had any part in it?
Absolutely sure.
Mm-hmm. What kind of a fella is he?
Oh, average guy, I guess. Likes to swim, plays a little golf. Always wants me to go out camping or hunting with him.
You ever go with him?
No, I haven't so far. He wants to go on weekends, and I like to see my son on Sundays, like I said.
What does he hunt, do you know?
He's not much of a hunter, really. He just likes to go out for ducks once in a while.
Does he keep his equipment here?
No, he doesn't, over at his father's house.
Does he ever hunt for anything besides ducks?
No, I'm positive about that. He's always saying how he never could shoot a deer. Says he gets buck fever. Can't say I blame him.
He ever tell you what kind of a gun he had?
No, not that I recall. Still think he had a part in this?
We didn't say that.
What's his duck hunting got to do with it?
Well, when you hunt ducks, you use a shotgun.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic cases from official police files. And now, let's look at our Fatima files.
Listed under K. Kelly, Nancy Kelly, famous actress. She says,
between scenes, I like to relax in my dressing room and light up a Fatima. They have a really different flavor, and they're extra mild.
Friends, more smokers now insist on king-size Fatimas than ever before, because in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Quality of tobaccos. The finest domestic and Turkish varieties, extra mild, superbly blended, to give you a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Quality of manufacture. Smooth, round, perfect cigarettes. Rolled in the finest paper money can buy. Manufactured in the newest and most modern of all cigarette factories.
Quality. Even to the appearance of the bright, clean, golden yellow package. Carefully wrapped and sealed to bring you Fatima's rich, fresh, extra mild flavor.
So, if you smoke a king-size cigarette, compare Fatima.
You'll find they now cost the same. But your first puff will tell you...
Ah, that's different.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality. Buy Fatima. Smoke the quality king-size cigarette. Fatima. Best of all long cigarettes.
Tuesday morning, July 10th, 1 a.m. We continued to question Keith Stevens about the murder of his wife. He could add very little to what he had already told us. We made a thorough search of his house and garage. We searched his car. We found nothing that would incriminate him in any way. 1:37 a.m. Carl Walters, the man who Keith Stevens lived with, returned home. We retraced his steps for the night of July 9th. All his time was accurately accounted for. We talked with his father. We were told that the shotgun had not been used for about 10 months, since last duck season. We looked at the gun and noticed that it was covered with lint and had not been recently fired. We talked to the plant foreman at Gibney Steel Mill. He verified the fact that Keith Stevens worked his full shift on July 9th and did not leave his job until 12 midnight. At this point, both men were clear of any complicity in the murder of Josephine Stevens. Tuesday, July 10th, 8 a.m. We made the usual routine check of R&I of the 4 people involved in the case so far. Josephine Stevens, the murdered woman, her mother, Mrs. James Edwards, the husband, Keith Stevens, and his friend, Carl Walters.
Here it is, Joe. One package.
Nothing on Josephine Stevens or Miss Edwards.
That's right. And Carl Walters is clean. He kind of makes a liar out of the husband, Keith Stevens. It's his package.
Yeah, I forgot.
Let's see. Keith Stevens. Here's the arrest report, one only.
Let's see. It's 4127A.
Yeah, picked up from drunk charge. He didn't forget, Joe. This was on June 7th last.
Yeah, let me look at that officer's statement, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Above suspect was picked up in the company of co-defendant Michael Duff, booking number 8023. Both suspects were drunk and disorderly at time of arrest. Their condition was such they were unable to care for themselves. No, he didn't forget.
Hey, Mary.
Yes, sir?
Pull this package for us, will you, please? Booking number 8023. Give us a mug if he's got one, huh?
What was that arrest date?
June 7th, 51.
Thank you.
That's an outside chance.
He lied once. Maybe he'll lie again.
What do you suppose he was trying to prove by not telling us about this?
Oh.
Here you are.
Oh, thank you, Mary.
That's a little bigger package, huh?
Yeah. Look, his R card. He's done time in Quentin.
Yeah. 1933, grand theft auto. Did 4.5 years, paroled out in 37. Here he is back in again on suspicion of robbery. 1946, charge released. Picked up again, suspicion of robbery, released again.
Michael Lewis Duff, alias Mickey Duff. Stevens is moving in pretty fast company.
Yeah. Look here, this is the guy, all right. Here's that last drunk arrest. See on we saw on Stevens, June 7th?
Yeah, Is there a mug there, Joe?
Let's see. Well, there's this one on that 211 arrest in 47.
Yeah, I see that one. It's pretty old, though. It's a little worn. Kind of hard to see.
So check that last arrest report on the drunk charge. Maybe we got one of those auto photo strips. That ought to do it.
I hope so.
Yeah, here we are.
Let's see. Yeah, those auto photos are good mugs, aren't they?
Yeah.
What address did he give on that last arrest?
5234 West Main. No, all these other addresses are just transient hotels. That Main Street address, the most recent, looks like the best bet.
This is probably why Stevens lied about being arrested.
Yeah, let's see if he lied about anything else. We drove over to 5234 West Main Street. It was a small 2-story rooming house. We checked with the landlady, and she told us that she had a man registered under the name of Michael Duff in room 20. She told us that he had just walked out a few minutes before we arrived, saying he was going down to the corner to buy a newspaper. We identified ourselves and stated that we'd wait in his room for him. We asked her not to tell him. She went upstairs with us and unlocked the door to room 20. We made a thorough search of his place. It was a 2-room apartment. I searched the living room, and Ben went over the kitchen.
Joe, come here.
Yeah.
Look here. Look, I'm up under the sink here, cradled in the gooseneck of the drain.
Yeah, shotgun.
Yep. Just a minute. It's been fired recently.
No.
And this much fits in.
These don't. Found him in the pocket of one of his coats in the closet there.
12-gauge shotgun shells. Where'd you find them?
In the pocket of a dress suit? That doesn't fit, does it?
Not unless he's the best-dressed hunter in town.
Sounds like he's back.
Yeah. Get your hand out of that pocket, please, officers.
What's going on?
Keep your hands out and open. Stand still. Here, Joe. You want to take this?
Yeah. What are you doing carrying a gun, Duff?
Anything wrong?
You know better than that. What'd they tell you when they paroled you?
That was a long time ago.
They haven't changed the rules.
I don't know what you're doing here in the first place.
Go on over there and sit down.
All right, if that's what you want.
That's what we want. Move.
Right now, do you want to tell us about it?
About the gun?
About both of them. The shotgun here on the table and this one I got in my hand.
Well, you found that old shotgun, huh?
We found it.
I haven't used that old thing for years. Just kept it as a keepsake. Haven't fired it for a long time. Don't even have any shells for it anymore.
Except these two, huh?
I don't know where those came from.
Look, Duff, you're an ex-convict. We find 2 guns in your possession. Now let's don't play games. Tell us about it.
I haven't got anything to tell you. I would if I
I
did.
just had a long talk with Keith Stevens.
What'd he have to say?
Never mind what he had to say. Let's hear your side of it.
You wouldn't try to kid me, would you?
Now, you listen, fella. We just came from a house over on Bexell Street. There's a woman lying in bed over there that took a blast from a sawed-off shotgun. You own a shotgun. It's been recently fired. You lied. You said you hadn't fired it. You said you didn't have any shells for it. Well, here they are. Now, look, they fit, don't they? Take a good look at it, mister. There's only one thing missing. Who pulled the trigger?
Let's have it, Duff.
Did Stevens tell you?
We'll ask the questions. Now, come on.
All right. I did it, but I did it for Stevens. Told me he'd give me $1,000 if I kill his wife for him. I haven't been paid yet. I'm still waiting to get paid off.
You won't have to wait any longer.
We took Michael Duff downtown together with a murder weapon. He gave us a full confession stating that Keith Stevens had offered to pay him $1,000 for the murder of his wife. He said that he and Stevens had planned it together. 1:30 p.m., Tuesday, July 10th. We drove out to pick up Keith Stevens.
What else could I do?
Is that how you justify the murder of your wife?
It was her fault. If she'd have just tried to be reasonable, this never would have happened.
People settle these kind of problems every day, and they don't use a shotgun.
You wouldn't understand. Unless you got a son, you'd never really understand why I did it.
I've got a son. I don't understand.
And you don't love him like I do. Couldn't stand the thought of never seeing him, having her take him away from me.
And that's the way you want us to put it down. But you didn't want your child taken away from you, so you killed his mother.
Not exactly. She was going to take him away. She wanted him to forget all about me. She wanted him off for herself.
Did your wife tell you all this?
No, of course not. Any fool could see that's what she had in mind.
You mean just because of some argument that you and your wife had, you just assumed all this to be so?
Sure. I knew she'd never give me a break with Charlie. Isn't that what always happens?
And you never asked her how she felt? Never thought that you could stand on your legal rights? Never knew that what you're trying to make us believe seldom happens unless there's a good reason for it?
Wasn't going to let her take my son away from me. Nobody could do that.
Yes, sir, you're right. You lost him yourself.
The story you've just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On October 15th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 84, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, I'd like you to be the judge while I present our case for Fatima. Now, you've heard me say that Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes. Get a pack of Fatimas and compare them with any other long cigarette. Side by side, I'll admit a Fatima looks the same as any other king-size cigarette. But when you smoke them, you'll find a world of difference. In Fatima, that difference is quality. Quality that gives you extra mildness, a much better flavor and aroma. Compare Fatima, and I'm sure you'll agree with me. Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes.
Keith Edward Stevens was convicted of murder in the first degree and received a life sentence. He is now serving his time in the state penitentiary. Michael Lewis Duff was convicted of first-degree murder and received the death sentence. He was executed in the lethal gas chamber at the state penitentiary.
Dragnet wishes to thank Sheriff Brian Clemens of the parish of East Baton Rouge, state of Louisiana, for the appointment of Sergeant Joe Friday and Sergeant Ben Romero as honorary deputy sheriffs. Our sincere thanks to Sheriff Clemens.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, portions transcribed from Los Angeles.
Stay tuned for Counter Spy next over most NBC stations.